Fumble a bag, now I will not fumble a bag. Fumble a bag, now I will not fumble a bag. Act like you know how this goes.
Hello, we are live in a spin class, and my shirt is ripped into pieces. No, I'm actually just in green tie-dye, and because if you didn't know by now, my whole life is a sham. My whole world is a lie, and I am not actually in all the places that I am in my videos. That this is a green screen behind me, indeed. So. I've been found out. It's gonna take a long time to recover from the embarrassment of this moment and this coming to light, but I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm ready. I'm ready to give back and teach everyone. It's okay. It's okay to have green screens and lie about it for 10 years and then come clean when you get called out. That is from the apology, the How to Apologize by Kia's World course, now available for $1,000 and 99.97 cents. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Okay. So, exciting things at the top. I just recorded yesterday, but I was editing it. I recorded my first segment, edition, episode of Offer Audit. That's what I'm calling it right now. Offer Audit, where I look at offers and different events and things where you can buy a ticket or get involved somehow in a variety of business owners, online coaches, spirituality healers, anyone who basically has an online presence that has an offer, especially in the self-help, personal development, spirituality genre. I want to go through them one by one, essentially, and just do an assessment on them. So the first one is recorded in the can. I'm editing it now. I think it's fairly good. It's about an online container for women. So that's on its way. Another thing that we aren't going to talk about much today because nothing really happened is Brittany Dawn. Her case has basically been postponed because it's boring. Not boring, but it's been postponed just because it's so far down on the docket in the county in Dallas and where the trial's being held. They haven't gone to it, and they don't even know when it's going to happen. So Brittany Dawn is chilling, I guess. I'm sure she's stressed because there is quite a fee that she might have to pay if she does get found. I guess it's not guilt. Someone explained it to me recently. It's not guilty because it's civil court, but found liable. So that's postponed for now. So no exciting updates there. The other only little thing, there's two little things, update wise, that you might be interested in if you're a, longtime viewer of this channel. Rachel Hollis is back basically on her podcast. Now she made an announcement essentially saying that, she had recorded some videos or some podcasts, rather, before her ex-husband Dave passed away, and she's posted them, or she's starting to release them. And I haven't listened to any of them. I'm basically taking a personal purge from Hollisville right now, but I read on Reddit that she does mention Dave and sort of the contentious divorce that they had and the bad relationship they had before they got divorced, and obviously before he passed away. So interesting that she's back, and I guess she's okay talking about it, even though she said that she wouldn't. I don't know. That's a little update. And then, and Boss Lee, we're rapid fire going through all the updates. Boss Lee is on Instagram posting a little, well, actually, I don't know if she's on Instagram. I'm assuming she is, but she blocked me, so I can't see it. I can only see her TikTok. And she's going to Vegas, even though she's apparently got that bad prognosis, and she's doing holistic healings to cure her stage 4 cancer. But she is still going to Vegas to do some sort of MLM related event. So she's asking people not to ask her questions about her treatment, but she will update people throughout time, I guess. And she was talking about different healings and things that she was doing to get rid of the cancer. But it seems like, just from what she's posted, that she's doing alternative medicine, and she is either in denial about how serious, stage 4 cancer can be, especially colon cancer, or she, I don't know. I don't know. She's maintaining a positive outlook. So she's doing the treatments that are sort of like, red light therapy. She mentioned ozone therapy, whatever that is. She got some biogenetics machine that's, got a teal swan connection. So that's her updates basically. Yeah, so she doesn't want you to ask questions, but she will tell you in her own time what's going on. So that's that. But what we're here to talk about today is three people really in particular, and how I am going to call it out. And it's of course my own opinion here, which I'm a know-nothing nobody on the internet. That the NXIVM cult, that we now call a cult now, there's been multiple documentaries about it. Well, season 1, season 2 of The Vow on HBO, very well done documentary. There's, I forget the name of the podcast, but it's like Culty or something like that, where 2 former members talk and discuss different cults and different tactics and personal development. There's a extensive podcast. There's many videos about it now, and we can all look back and go, oh my God, what a crazy thing that was. However, when it was ongoing and growing at the time, it just looked like a very innocent personal development, self-help group for people who were wanting better for themselves and their lives and their families' lives and blah, 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 blah. And it seemed, like, oh, there's a guy who gives his thoughts about life and what you should do and mental health, but he's not, qualified for that, but it's okay because it's just personal development. And I figured, well, there's some of those that exist and are growing and have a lot of money backing them right now in order to grow. So why don't we nip it in the bud now? Look at some of these companies that are coming up that could, in my opinion, if they were to unravel as things have and do, they could become cults at some point because they have charismatic leaders. And again, the money is a big thing. And if you follow the NXIVM storyline, one of the big reasons it was able to grow and continue and expand into Mexico and to other countries, and they could recruit there, was because the woman whose grandpa, I believe, owned like Seagram's, so like the alcohol and I think they do like regular drinks company. She was the heir to that fortune. So she was like bankrolling this whole thing. And so we're going to look at two different companies that are, I believe, in the same vein as NXIVM in their self-help work. I'm not saying they're branding people and, forcing them to become, cult members or join like a women's group. But I think some of the basic methods that they were attracting people, doing that, the non-psychologically studied and tested therapy, but also throwing people in these situations and like, talk about your trauma. I think it's similar. So we're going to talk about two of them. One of them involves Soulcycle, which is why I'm in the Soulcycle studio today. And personally, I've never been to a Soulcycle class specifically. I've been to many a spin class in college, in the college gym. I've been to ones at like LA Fitness and 24 Hour Fitness and Gold's Gym, which are, in the YMCA. And I've been to the cycle only ones like Cycle Bar. And I think I've been to Ruckus at least once, but never to Soulcycle. But basically, a lot of the classes are similar in the sense of, it's high energy, it's positive vibes. Sometimes they can go into like overcoming challenges and obstacles. Same thing with running. I use the Nike Run app when I run, obviously. And, you put your headphones in and it like, some of it can be inspirational while you're running. And I'm all for it. Even as someone who chooses sadness every day, essentially, I have no problem with, especially when exercise, having a positive spin to something. Get it? But I am very weirded out by the people who started Soulcycle, their next iteration. And now Soulcycle, if you don't know, if you're not familiar, Soulcycle was sold to Equinox. So the people who are involved here don't have any connection. The history of it, but no real new connection or current connection to Soulcycle. So let's, we're going to show, me, I'm going to show the Today Show with Hoda and Jenna. And Jenna Bush, if you didn't know, she's on this show. She's like a contributor, reporter, anchor person, whatever. Bush, the daughter of the former president. And apparently she's a big Soulcycle fan because there was an article written about her while I was researching this, that she did a Soulcycle class at the same day that she gave birth to one of her kids. So I guess that's a testament to how fun the class is. I don't know. I don't know about that. But so I'm assuming, I have not watched this video yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be a pretty positive spin just because of that. Because if they're writing articles about, Jenna Bush's taking classes, I think she's probably going to be soft on this topic. So it's called Inside Soulcycle's Founders Relational Fitness Group, Peoplehood. Okay, that's what they're branding this as. Relational Fitness Group. Now, what I believe it is, just based on my basic understanding, is that it's unregulated group therapy that costs more money than regular therapy probably would. And just for a second, this is their website called peoplehood.com. And I'm not a graphic designer or an artist, but just this to me just looks like Canva. Like they just use Canva to fill in the blank of like people. And it's, I don't know, just seems very kind of generic. Like we want to appeal to millennials and people who, loved WeWork, but are turned off by the actual company practices. So now we're going to start our own thing. It says, welcome to Peoplehood, a first of its kind practice designed to improve our relationships, starting with ourselves. Okay, so what is it? Well, it's a bunch of circles moving in a radial pattern. Also, if you remember, side note, I added 2 new emotes. Hold on. 2 new emotes. There you go. So you'll notice you'll have a moose and a red flag, baby. Red flags all day. And also, here's a brand new soundbite for everyone's delectable ears.
You look like a Lord of the Rings elf.
It's meant to be insulting. Okay, so peoplehood is a practice, like a workout for your relationships. They think they've branded everything. It's like, what's a conversation? Like, how do we brand conversation so we can charge for it? It's a relational exchange of energies verbally through the space quantum leaping continuum. I don't know. It's like, what you're talking about is people sitting in a room talking, and you're going to brand it like it's some brand new theory. It's like been going on since the dawn of time, okay? Somebody call Ed Milet. All right. Our 60-minute guided group conversations, we call them gathers. Okay, gathers have up to 20 participants and an intention. We speak freely and listen deeply. There's music and breath work to ease you into the experience. Whether you're looking to change old habits or build new connections, there's one thing we know: you'll walk away feeling better than when you arrived. Okay, why? Why peoplehood? 1, humans. I can still use that one. Humans, we have a problem. Our happiness and health is more than anything connected to the quality of our relationships. And yet, 61% of adults identify as lonely. I am one of them. Add me to the list, baby. While 4 in 10 report having no close personal relationships. Okay, I do have some personal close relationships. I would love some more. Welcome, Patricia. Oh yeah, I'm also going to pull up the stream so I can read the other messages in case there's any special messages that come in. Sometimes they don't come through on the system. I guess Wednesday, and I'm sorry anyone who's here. I just saw that Savannah's live. I didn't realize that she went live on Wednesday. I'm sorry if you're having to split your time between the two of us. I know there's some people who cross over into the Savannah anti-MLM world and Kia's world sometime. Okay. So welcome, Patricia. All right. What else? Number 2, listening is the magic pill. Active listening without interrupting, offering advice, or giving an opinion is the number 1 relationship building skill. Feeling heard boosts oxytocin and dopamine, our feel-good brain chemicals. And 3, Peoplehood builds high-quality human connections. Our mission is to equip people with space, support, and skills to build deeper, more meaningful relationships with others and themselves. Okay, so none of this sounds bad. However, this is how every cult starts. Like, I'm just being real. Like, this is how they all sound. I mean, usually these stories aren't being told until much later. Like, the cult's already been broken up and people are in prison, and now they're like going to the beginning. But this is how they all start. We just wanted a place to meet up and have friends and talk about our feelings. And then all of a sudden we were, doing crazy shit. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what cults do. We were flying off into the planets out above with our sneakers on. Thank you, Lady Vixen. Lady Vixen's chose a pear character holding his belly, laughing out loud. Well, that's a good one. Pears are good for you. Okay. And for that I say,
I'm outside the Cheesecake Factory waiting for it to open.
I'm outside the pear factory waiting for it to open. Thank you, Lady Vixen. Okay. So if you wanted to join one of these gathers, okay, you can... It's easy, of course. It's always easy. Sign up. Tell us all your trauma so we can advertise to you. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I never would like to tell a company my trauma. Sign up. Help us get to know you by answering a few quick questions. Log in, check out our weekly schedule, and decide which gather is right for you. You can come solo, meet new people, make time to process life, and hear yourself think. Couplehood. Okay, now we're going to talk about the prices and all that in a little bit, but you can do yourself, which is a Peoplehood package, or you can do Couplehood, which is obviously you and your significant other. You can come with your partner, enjoy intentional time with the person that matters most. You can go in person at our flagship location in New York City or virtually on our digital platform. Rinse and repeat. Peoplehood is a practice. Coming weekly will help you change old patterns, build new habits, and feel more connected to yourself and others. Okay, so what everyone really wants to know, how much frick does this cost, bitch? That's what everyone's asking me right now. Okay, so you can get 3-pack, intro 3-pack. So first time members only, of course. You can do 3 gathers in 30 days, either in person or virtual, for 55 doll hairs. Wow, what a steal. And Couplehood, same thing, same amount, but for $85. Okay, then after that, you can get a monthly membership. Virtual only is $95 a month. Now, again, these are group Zoom calls on the digital side, or in person in New York, which in person in New York might be a different experience. You might actually meet people and do that. But virtually, I've done some of these group things online. It's very hard to actually translate it to anything meaningful personally. Okay, but it costs $165 if you do in-person and virtual. And that gets you 5 in-person gathers per month. So about 1 a week and an extra. Unlimited virtual gathers, coffee or tea, concierge booking, exclusive access to special in-person programming and virtual events. Okay, and then again, for the couples, you can get a little, I don't know if it's cheaper, but it's $250 a month for in-person and virtual, or virtual only $145 a month. Again, this is not one-on-one therapy. There is no therapist present. This is just people meeting up in a space and them saying, we're going to set an intention here and let's breathe for a second before we start. I'm not finding the value personally. And if you're familiar with New York, it's in Chelsea. Our 3-story sanctuary is a modern community center for people seeking a space to unload, share, listen, and connect. The building features a coffee bar, retail shop, and event space for special member programming. Woo! Okay, here are the guides. So I heard, now I don't know, we're going to explore as we go, but I heard that some of the Soulcycle people are being encouraged to become guides. But again, to become a guide, there is no qualifications other than like what their training is going to be. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me go with an open mind. It says, our guides are a diverse group of humans. Wow, I'm so glad they went human. I'm so glad they chose humans instead of the alternative. Our guides are a diverse group of humans, handpicked and trained to deliver an exceptional experience. Guides are storytellers, super connectors. Okay, that's what Gabby Bernstein calls herself. So, no thank you. DJs? Okay, hold on. Guides are storytellers, super connectors, DJs, and empaths with big hearts and even bigger smiles. Wow, I'm sold. I'm in. I can tell a DJ all of my trauma. Please, sign me up. They know what you're going through because they've been there too. I beg to fucking differ. Excuse my language, but how can you guarantee that they've been how? No, thank you. Okay, and then here's the people from the thumbnail. These are the former Soulcycle CEOs, or I don't know, founders, and now they've decided to follow their true passions into unregulated therapy. Isn't that the path? People do this successful. They have their business, like Jamie Lena Kern, or what's her name? Jamie Kern Lima. She started It Cosmetics with her husband. She sold it to L'Oreal, and now she can't just go to Bermuda and sit on a beach and chill. No, she must become a self-help guru. Why? Why do they all do this? They are not satisfied. I guess this is the truth. Like, success in business, it's not enough. You have to become that self-actualized, like God-like figure helping the huddled masses figure out their trauma. That just like is how this has worked in so many, like the guy who's in Salesforce right now, same thing. Like it's not good enough being the CEO. You also have to write a book about your leadership experience. You have to, start having conferences where there's all those inspirational speakers. It's like, why is this the path that all these people take? Anyways. In 2006, we founded Soulcycle. We realized that people came for the workout, but stayed for the connections they created in the studios. They found a community, a place where they belonged. When we left Seoul in 2016, the world felt different. We were all connected, but felt oddly disconnected. So that's why we decided to make a trauma company on Zoom, at least half. Social, cultural, and technological forces were pulling us all apart. And the institutions keeping us together were losing relevance. People reported feeling isolated, lonely, and burned out. And then the pandemic hit. We spent I love how people like are recounting like shit we all know. Like, oh, everyone's lonely. Then we had a pandemic and it's not getting better. It's like, okay, thank you. I'm glad we had this, we didn't all just go through this together, but whatever. Okay, I get it. We spent 3 years researching how we spent 3 years researching what? Googling how people best communicate with empaths and DJs. That's how we figured it out. Okay, we Googled for 3 years, researching how communities form, how to bring people together. And we decided on chairs in a circle. And how feeling connected can affect our happiness and health. We became obsessed with creating a modern place to gather with an intentional focus on relationship building skills. We set out to create a group practice driven by peer-to-peer connection, collaboration, and growth. The result is Peoplehood. So here we are, the next chapter. We look forward to sharing it with you. Okay, so let's watch the definitely unbiased, most likely, wink, wink, piece from the Today Show with Hoda and Jenna called Inside Soulcycle Founders Relational Fitness Group, Peoplehood. And this is hot tea. It's only got 425 views. So, it's really popular with the Peoplehood. Here we go. Making space for you. Also, morally, I'm against this. Why? I know this is like an entertainment news show. It's not like a CNN, like breaking news moment, but like, why do news programs, including the New York Times, have a wellness section where they just basically let these people run free and just bullshit about all these breakthroughs and stuff with like zero, oversight, pushback, real stats and figures? Like all of these news outlets seem to have this. Why? Like, do some research. It's not, half of these claims are false.
Focusing on the idea of making space for you.
And Donna found a place that's helping people not only connect with themselves, but with complete strangers as well.
Yeah. You guys know, living and working in New York City, it's definitely a privilege, but it can also be isolating. So I was looking for a new way to connect in a community setting, and I found just that.
I don't know who this woman is. I don't know who she is. Donna. I guess a reporter or something.
Lately, life has felt like a freaking giant whack-a-mole game.
I'm trying to find my way back to the most honest version of myself.
How am I doing? Really very emotional right now.
How am I doing? Really? It's a question posed to...
Okay, that's the title of Jenna Kutcher's book, How Are You Doing Really? Or something like that. That's the general gist of her book title. So it's like, if you need to go to therapy, go to therapy. Like, I don't know what, like, I just really have a problem with people saying, first of all, people will always say, therapy doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay, but then create literal therapy without any of the extra parameters that make it safe and an actual safe space for people. Like I could join this group, right, for $100 a month or whatever, show up and then decide based on what everyone shares to try to manipulate them to get them to buy my course or whatever. There's nothing holding me back from doing that, right? And that's the difference. Like if you were in a therapy class, there are rules about, how it's worked. I don't know, whatever. It's just, I hate it when people are like, therapy doesn't work, but I go to a self-help group called Peoplehood. It's like, okay. You're in therapy, but it's just a bad version of it. That's probably going to hurt you and manipulate you.
It's a question posed to 16 total strangers in a group setting called Peoplehood.
I come from a family that loves to talk, and sometimes we talk over each other. And this really teaches you to give the other person the opportunity to share.
There's no qualms, there's no pretense, there's no need to impress.
It's the brainchild of Julie Rice and Elizabeth Cutler, the entrepreneurs behind the boutique fitness brand Soulcycle.
We began to think, what would it look like to create a product that was without the bikes, but still with all the connection?
When they sold their enormously successful company in 2016, they each received $90 million. And now they've launched a new venture designed to strengthen personal connections.
It's a 60-minute conversation experience, and the guide leads you through the experience, and there's some music and some breath work.
It's a conversation experience. You're sitting in a room and you're maybe doing a light meditation and you're talking about your feelings. This is not revolutionary. And again, it's like, my idea, I don't think this is going to make you not lonely, honestly. All it's going to do is open you up and make you vulnerable in a group of people you don't know if you should trust or can't trust. And then what? Like, that's the thing. It's like in therapy, you open all these wounds, but you're with a professional that help you navigate it and stay grounded during it. Like, this is just, if you don't know what you're doing, it's dangerous in the sense of you just go home and now you're like, oh, I just shared my deepest fears with this group and now they all know my information and now I don't know what to do. Oh my God. And I don't know. I just find it weird. This is nothing. They're trying to brand it as something like, oh, did you know that we created this new experience called sitting in a room and talking?
And then of course, conversation. And our guides are what we're calling super connectors. They are not therapists. This is not therapy. This is really peer-to-peer support.
They call it relational fitness.
The skills that come along with relational fitness are listening, empathy, and understanding.
I'm excited to strengthen my pause muscle and my listening muscle.
It's hard. It's hard to not think about what I'm reacting to what this person's saying. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next. I'm already in another place. And so to just really listen to what someone else is saying just for a short period of time it's actually such a generous act.
Gather. Have you ever gone to like a work meeting or something and you're sitting around talking and the dynamics seem to play out where there's one person who wants to share everything, there's one person who's too personal, there's one person who hogs all the time, there's one person who says nothing, there's one person who's like not there on their phone the whole time. Like, I feel like and I don't think this is a bad thing on the surface in the sense of, yeah, I want to meet people. I think that is something that is a big lack in the world. Like, they call them like third spaces, outside of work, especially if you work from home. It's like, where do you go to meet people? Especially if you're, don't have kids or you're just a person living on your own. Like, how do you go out and meet people as an adult? If you move to a new city or even the city you've been in for a long time, like, I don't know how to solve that problem. And I always think like a great idea would be for a company, instead of making like an events calendar, there's so many companies like that it's like local Austin, things to do, local, Miami, night out guide. There's so many of those online, even like on TikTok, like, hey, what to do this weekend in Seattle, whatever. But like, have a group or have a company that you have to come by yourself and you go together to these, like, the event is because you're alone and it's like almost like speed dating, but it's not for romantic relationships necessarily. But that's not what this is. It's like, you have to come alone anyways. You have to go with somebody already. So it doesn't solve the issue of like getting over that hurdle of like meeting people. But anyways, okay, I'm just saying, like, people who are going to show up to this and pay the money to be there, you're assuming they're coming with good intentions, but that's not always true. They might be real estate agents wanting to, get their next lead and they're just gonna, bullshit you. I don't know. That's why I feel like it's weird.
Others can be virtual or in person, and prices start at $55 for a 3-session intro pack. I tried my Gather at their flagship location in New York City and led with honesty.
I'm really spending for personal time on celebrating my friends. All my friends are getting married, they're getting engaged. And though I'm not someone to completely follow others, it's sometimes you feel there is avoid. And so I'd like to make space for authentic connection.
Our guide, Juliana, led us through a group share. The idea is to speak freely without anyone interrupting or responding.
How are you going to do that? Because it's an hour. There's like 15 people in there. So you have like, what, 2 minutes max if you're going to do anything else? Maybe 4 and get feedback and all that. I feel like that's a difficult feat. Also, I want to know what her qualifications are. She's a super connector. Okay, Juliana, why? What does she do? What course did she take? What lessons does she learn? What skills does she possess? That's what I want to know.
The idea is to speak freely without anyone interrupting or responding. Simple gestures of snapping and touching your heart are suggested to show your empathy.
One thing that's true for me is that I'm baby free for a week.
I feel really grateful to be able to have the job I have and do what I do, have the relationships I have in my life. But sometimes I can feel lonely. Oh my gosh, that touches me. I feel seen, I feel heard.
Okay, I know I'm like a fucking bitch, right? We all can just agree on that, okay? But like, I just roll my eyes because I went through something similar like this locally. I talked about it a few times here where it was 2 hours a week. It was an hour of group coaching and an hour of yoga. And it was for 6 weeks. And it was like my first introduction into this whole world. And it almost like, really ruined me, honestly, before I started to realize like, wait, I'm getting indoctrinated slowly over time. But that was my first introduction, was like doing something like this, putting myself out there and going, okay, I'm going to try something new and I'm going to be more positive and this is going to be a wonderful experience. And then I started to share all this stuff and like, I basically, I don't know how to even explain the story, but like within 6 months to a year of that first entry point, which is what this seems to be, I was then now doing one-on-ones with the, leader who had no qualifications either. And now she's telling me that she's like an oracle that can read my mind and that she can go into my soul and like heal my body parts. I'm like, oh no, like what did I get into? I just spent all this emotional energy on this person who's telling me this stuff I don't believe in. And now I have friends in here that if I leave, I'm not going to be friends with them anymore. That's exactly what happened is I left. Like I don't talk to any of them anymore. So it was a temporary feeling of like connection and like, oh, empathy. I have empathy for you. But long term, I don't talk to any of them anymore. And they don't really talk to anyone unless you're in the group and you keep paying for all the fucking things and you keep going on the retreats and going to the classes. So yeah, this is why I roll my eyes, because I'm like, they're like so caring until you don't pay your membership anymore. And then they're not going to invite you in because you're poor. They're going to be like, bye, babe. See you later. Bye. So, if this was free, that's one thing. But I just like membership. I don't know. It's just hard. It's like, it's a letdown. Anyways, JB, thank you, JB. And JB says, this feels like an SNL skit, guys. I can't. Empathy for that, JB. Empathy for that. And for that I say,
you have to think instead of sitting around eating Skittles and watching Oprah reruns.
That would be a better probably use of your time, honestly, than doing this and potentially getting screwed. And maybe I'm just being negative Nancy over here from my own personal experience, but tell me how they're going to force people to be your friend for long term. They can't. That's not a guarantee. All they're doing is providing some chairs for you. I don't know. Thank you, JB. Here we go.
Just by that one beat.
And then we broke out into one-on-one sessions, which was surprisingly moving for me.
So I'm a little bit anxious about the future. I was telling Kiara I miss my parents at night. That's sometimes what keeps me up. And then I realized that part of that is because I have so much love to give, and I feel like that's sort of stalled and thwarted sometimes, and I don't know where to put that.
After this class, I feel at peace, and I feel more present than I did when I went in there.
What keeps me coming back is just the connection with self and with like the world at large. I get a chance to like meet myself over and over again.
My takeaway is that everyone has something going on. And that if we can collectively treat people with that in the back of our minds, the world might be a better place.
Grown woman discovers empathy, discovers all humans have their own lives and we all intertwine. Wow.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate, it is not therapy, and we spoke to a psychiatrist to find out what she thought of this new idea, and she agreed. While it's not a substitute for therapy, there is no doubt that being social is good for mental health, and sharing open conversations can boost well-being, and I experienced that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like everything is over the phone, so to have that kind of face-on-face open connection is what people are so longing for.
Face-on-face is what Hannibal Lecter did in the end of Silence of the Lambs.
And sometimes you just want to speak to a stranger with empathy to like finish your thought, complete the thought, feel the feel. Kind of when you talk in circles, you're able to figure out what it is that you're really feeling in that moment. And that's certainly how I felt.
You said it. Everybody's got something.
Yeah.
Everybody's got something.
That was awesome, Donna. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna.
Donna, I don't know if you were truly healed in that session or made friends. Like, I don't know. I think the intention may be good. And I think, honestly, like Waco, probably the intention was good at one point, you know, going into, I'm sure Scientology had a wonderful intention to help humanity at one point when it was starting. And it goes out of control because there aren't those fail-safe things, those safety measures, those precautions, those ethics put in place, because it's just a free-for-all. Let's make money. It's capitalistic, baby. Let's put some beige on the wall and get people in here and start paying a membership. That's when it can get out of control, because there's not those things in place making sure that that doesn't happen. So that was today with Hoda and Jenna. That's their take on what's going on. Let's look at the New York Times. So here's another look at the room. Revolutionary. It's like, do you want to go to beige kindergarten? This is the place for you in Chelsea. Let's see. So they say Soulcycle without the bike or without the workout, really, or without anything but talking. Here comes Peoplehood. For their second act, the fitness entrepreneurs Julie Rice and Elizabeth Cutler are building a company centered on workouts for the self. Oh man, workouts for the self. They always have this very good branding. Okay, so here we go. Since last summer, a startup in beta mode has been soliciting volunteers to take part in 55-minute sessions called Gathers, where strangers discuss their deepest hopes and fears. Okay, that's the part that I'm like, red flag, red flag. Can it just be about like, hey, what do you guys think about flowers? What do you guys think about the weather today? That's how real, I think, friendships develop for the most part naturally over time. It's like going to a workplace, going to, I don't know, an activity, a sport, and then getting to know each other, trusting each other based on their commitment to the relationship by showing up every time and seeing like, okay, I've given a little bit more. I've given a little bit more. And over time, it develops into more of a, vulnerable position. I don't think going immediately and meeting a bunch of strangers and going, here's my deepest trauma is helpful to you or to them, honestly. But it always is, because it keeps you emotionally engaged, I think. It's like the deepest fears and hopes part. Because if you're crying and you're having an emotional experience, it's going to feel revolutionary. It's going to feel different. But that's how they get you to come back. But it's manipulative because they're forcing you to think these things. I think it's the same thing with any conference, with the Tony Robbins conference. They have people talking into the microphone, sharing these deep, dark things, and the whole room is moved by it. But long term, those problems are still there with those people, I think. Okay. The fledgling company Peoplehood is led by the entrepreneurs Elizabeth Cutler and Julie Rice, who combine sweat and spirituality in their last venture, the high-end fitness chain Soulcycle. And it's always high-end. Are rich people the only ones allowed to have these experiences? Okay, sorry. So far, nearly 1,000 people have taken part. Ms. Cutler and Ms. Rice said, on a recent night, I was one of the 20 volunteers who logged on to a remote session moderated by Shamika Jones, an actress, dancer, and model. Okay, so Shamika's qualifications apparently is actress, dancer, and model who Peoplehood speak is a super connector. Yeah, that's who I want to tell my trauma to, a model and actor. Nothing wrong with her necessarily, but why are you qualified to hold or talk about anyone's biggest hopes and fears? Okay. Wearing a sweatshirt with PPLHD across the front, that's Peoplehood without the vowels, so modern, right? Across the front, Miss Jones had an infectiously upbeat presence. I'm sure it's all going to be toxic positivity. After leading us through a series of breathing exercises, she introduced the topic of the day, uncertainty. Oh, Lord. Okay. Before the discussion got underway, she set the ground rules. If you are not the person speaking, you are supposed to listen actively without interrupting. Okay, fair. To express support for a speaker, you were to use one of 3 responses. Snapping. Okay, that's what that is. Placing your hands over your heart to bring the attention to you. Okay, sorry. To show that you're an empath. Okay, got it. Oh, hold on. To show you're an empath.
I happen to be an empath myself.
Or that you're a DJ. Use this hand signal if you're a DJ while someone's talking. Or raising your hands, palms facing the screen. What is that supposed to be? Yes, praise you, girl. Thank you for sharing that about your biggest hopes and dreams. Okay. Ms. Jones then gave us a discussion prompt. Okay. But how I am really feeling is blank. Okay, so they use the same one they use with NBC. Okay. So Jones gave them a discussion prompt, but how I am really feeling is blank. To fill in the blank, group members expressed their anxieties about the war in Ukraine, the lingering effects of the pandemic, and the return to a pre-2020 work setup. During this portion of the gather, which took 20 minutes, I was trying to be a good Peoplehood person. I snapped. I placed my hands over my heart. At one point, while trying to juggle active listening and coming up with the correct response, I accidentally did jazz hands. Next, we were separated into pairs. Each person was instructed to speak for 3 minutes uninterrupted. The prompt this time, what keeps you up at night? Jesus. Okay, this is just them forcing you to have these emotional outbursts. Oh no. Once we had all shared our 3 a.m. anxieties with a stranger, we were given a new partner for another prompt. Name something you're looking forward to. Okay, it's a little better. 6 minutes later, we returned to the full group to share our reflections. Then we did some light stretching to the strains of soothing music. Class dismissed. Ooh, very exciting. Selling connection. Okay. Miss Cutler and Ms. Rice see Peoplehood as a natural successor to Soulcycle, which became a phenomenon because it's made customers feel as if they were sculpting not just their bodies, but themselves. The chain's devotees wear Soulcycle gear as they pedal in unison on stationary bikes in candlelit rooms under the tutelage of guru-like instructors who shout out messages of empowerment. What Elizabeth and I found at Soulcycle was that people came because they thought they wanted to get in better shape. But ultimately, what they found in those rooms was connection. We quickly learned the product we were selling was connection with other people. This sounds like Heidi Powell, where she was talking about her products and her that group fitness challenge. You know, she's like, people think they want workouts, but what they really want is friendship. And it's like, yeah, no shit. But like, that's a much harder thing to sell and buy on the open market. So you can try to provide a socially, safe environment, but you cannot guarantee that or sell people. It's like selling a marriage. Like, you're going to be like, hey, I guarantee if you sign up for Hinge that I'm going to find you a wife in 30 days. It's like, you can't do that. You can set up the room for that, but you can't guarantee. And I think that's where it gets a little hairy, especially when you're sharing deep emotional wounds with people. Anyways, and it's a great way to keep people hooked when they're not getting results, right? It's like, well, now I feel like all my friends are here. I can't leave and I'm not getting results I want, but I don't want to, hurt anyone's feelings, or I shared a lot. Now I feel emotionally, vulnerable. So I need to keep going back to feel better. It's like, eek, scary. A decade later, she continued, we realized that connection should be its own product. Oh, Lord. Capitalism at its finest, right? We are modern medicine for the loneliness epidemic. You're one facility in Chelsea, New York that costs over $100 to go in person and do these virtual. You are the modern medicine for the loneliness epidemic. Give me a fucking break. I'm sorry. This is so ridiculous. Before the first Soulcycle class in 2006, Ms. Rice was a talent manager at a company whose clients included Will Smith and Jennifer Lopez. Ms. Cutler worked as a real estate agent and jiu-jitsu, maybe? Acupuncture practitioner. They met in Manhattan where they were married mothers of young children. Okay, I'm not seeing therapists. I'm not seeing psychologists. I'm not seeing research assistant at, Stanford there. Okay. They shared a common frustration at the time. Most gyms struck them as uninspiring, even unpleasant. Along with Ruth Zuckerman, a third founder who left Soulcycle in 2009, they hatched the idea for a fitness class as bonding experience. It would also be chic with instructors who are more like spiritual gurus than drill camp sergeants. Ms. Cutler described the original vision in a 2018 interview. Okay. And I'm not against that for a workout scenario. I'm against it when it's, solving the loneliness epidemic and dealing with your mental health. That's where I start to go, I'm not on board with this. The first location, so now they're still talking about Soulcycle in this part, just so you know, in case I got lost in translation. The first location was a former dance studio tucked behind the lobby of an Upper West Side apartment building. Soulcycle soon became a much talked about chain. In 2011, the luxury fitness company Equinox swooped in and bought a majority stake. Before leaving their active roles in the company in 2016, Rice and Cutler received paydays of $90 million each. Now with Peoplehood, they're back in startup mode. Quote, we are thinking about how we put this in the zeitgeist in a way that makes it joyful and uplifting and meaningful, and also create a brand around it that makes it cool to work on your relationships. Go to therapy. Okay, sorry. The headquarters are in a 3-story building now under renovation in Manhattan's Flatiron District. On one wall, a message reads, confidentiality is a promise we make to each other. What is said in the room stays in the room. Okay, I'm glad that that's there. Can you, what if I don't follow that? What happens to me? And how are you going to figure it out that it was me and not the other 19 people who shared your secrets to my vlog or whatever? Ms. Cutler and Ms. Rice will also sell Peoplehood merchandise, of course, including prayer candles, caps, tote bags, and sweatshirts. They declined to say what the cost of a session will be. Okay, so we already know that. And they have gotten, or how much money they have gotten from investors in a recent fundraising round. Why not? What's wrong with that? Marketing materials shared with investors are peppered with gung-ho spiritual speak and startup jargon, including references to Peoplehood's digital and physical sanctuaries, okay, and the two founders' superpower of finding, training, and managing connection rock stars to scale human experience. Oh. Is nothing sacred? Is the human experience? We're going to talk about it. We're going to find rock stars to scale human experience. I'm horrified. I really hate it here. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't handle it. I don't want to sound like I'm old and crotchety, but I yearn for an age where this isn't I yearn for a time where this is ridiculed and ripped apart and people just reject it immediately and go, no, this is not what we're doing. But yet we're here funding this shit. I don't get it. My God. I mean, I get it. It's money making and it gives rich people, no offense. I mean, I know rich people have issues and want to make friends too, but it gives rich people this I don't know, this advantage, only people who can afford $100 and something a month deserve to have friends. I don't know. I have a lot of feelings about this. A little woo woo. Uh-oh. Rachel, where are you?
I'm a big time hippie and I'm very woo woo.
It's time to scale the human experience, everybody. Okay. A little woo woo. The germ for the idea of Peoplehood came along early in the Soulcycle days when Cutler woke up filled with anxiety about her new life as an executive and entrepreneur. Fumbling with her phone in the dark, she did a Google search for life coach. Okay. Within a week, she and Rice started meeting regularly with Meredith Haberfield, who runs a coaching and leadership development firm. Okay, let's look at her in a minute. Actually, let's look at her now. This is called Think-Human, Unleashing the Soul of Your Business. Okay, I can see why they liked her. Rally individuals, electrify cultures, and deliver breakthrough performance coaching training. Our purpose is to unleash soul in business. Okay, so a life coach that's going to make you have soulful business. Let's go on Facebook. Culture, executive coaching, and leadership development at greater good organizations like Betterment. Okay, I don't know. I don't see a person on here, but this is what they're talking about. So like corporate coaching. Oh, here's the case study for Soulcycle. Okay, let's see. This is a little aside for a second. Oh God, not the music, not the music.
I'm one of the co-founders of Soulcycle. We started the business 8 years ago, and about 6 months into the business, like any entrepreneur, I had a late night panic attack. I was just in a place where my life was taking over my life, and I wanted to find something that was going to help me create the right structure so that I could get out in front of things and start to live my life in the way that we should all be living our lives. And Meredith and I met, and we immediately connected. She helped me organize things so that I found the space to make things manageable and the space to prioritize what was really going to matter and what was really going to move the needle for me personally and then for me inside the business. She's been an incredible thought partner.
I don't know. None of those words were making sense to me, and the camera movements were a little jarring. So, okay. So basically she had a panic attack, and instead of realizing like maybe I should work on my life here and seek therapy, no, life coach. Okay. I've been there. Can't lie. I've been there. Okay. But I didn't continue down that road. I eventually got into the right place. Anyways. Once I gave them the idea of not having Once I gave them the idea of not having a lumpy carpet where things get swept under the rug, said Haberfeld. So that's the life coach who is now a Peoplehood advisor. Oh, that's always good. That's always good when your life coach becomes a business partner. That's when you know that they'll give you honest advice for sure. When they're definitely invested in the success of your business. They were deeply committed to having the kind of relationship with each other marked by transparency, personal responsibility, accountability, and real conversations. Spin forward to 2019, Cutler was investing in startups and advising entrepreneurs. Rice was the chief brand officer at WeWork. Oh, shit. I didn't know that. Okay, now it's all connecting. Now it's all super connecting. Okay, so what failed at WeWork for the same reasons that this is probably going to fail epically in like a lawsuit or some sort of craziness. She was at WeWork reporting to Adam Newman, which we all know if you watch the WeWork documentaries or if you're familiar with the WeWork saga. He was making this culture, making it seem like WeWork was this mystical unicorn that was transforming the world as a tech company. But in reality, he was gaslighting all of us. It was just a real estate company. It was literally just empty buildings where they would put millennials on laptops. Like, come on, get a grip, everybody. Okay, now it's all making sense. Okay. A role in which she came up with the Made by We slogan. So you're the culprit here. Okay. Yes, I brought WeWork up earlier, not knowing that they had an actual connection. Okay. I'm on to something. I feel it. Okay. So let me start that sentence over. Rice was the chief brand officer at WeWork, reporting to Adam Newman, who's now gone, a role in which she came up with the Made by We slogan. Rice left WeWork after 2 years, around the time of the company's public implosion. She is the inspiration for the Alicia Kennedy character played by America Ferrera on the Apple TV Plus series We Crashed. Oh, I haven't seen that. Okay. Good to know. If you've watched that show, or will, this is who it's about. Cutler and Rice had become concerned about the state of discourse in America, not just on social media, but at the dinner table. And they started hashing out their next big thing in earnest. When the pandemic hit, they consulted with scientists, psychologists, spiritual leaders, and therapists to develop the gathers. Okay, good, but not good enough, in my opinion. To put scientists, psychologists, therapists on the same level as spiritual leaders, I don't think is fair. I don't think is true. And I don't think, like, a scientist has to look at the data and say, this is where I've come to this conclusion. I've gone to school for all this time. A spiritual leader goes, I think this. And maybe they say, well, I use the Bible, I use this book, whatever. But I still think it's not the same. But I'm nitpicking now, but that's just my personal 2 cents. Okay. And I'm glad that they consulted, but why aren't the therapists involved in the gathers? Like facilitation, like you can consult all day, but if they're not there in the room, are they really helping? Have they helped? Okay, sorry. Last summer, they recruited friends and friends of friends to attend the first Peoplehood sessions. It's a little woo-woo, and I really have felt an impact in a very positive way, said Julio Alvarez, a 34-year-old tech industry leadership coach who participated in pilot classes. Okay, so you're going to tell me that Julio, a 34-year-old tech industry leadership coach, isn't going to hear all of your deepest fears and insecurities about, business and whatever, and try to recruit you into his, pyramid scheme course? Okay. The pausing, the breathing, the listening, the sharing. That is what we need more of in this world. We need healthcare as well. Can you help us with this first? Carolyn Carey, 60, a friend of Cutler's who lives in Carlton, Georgia, has attended both types of gathers offered by the company. Sessions for individuals like the one I attended, and those meant for couples. Quote, it's like yoga for the mind, and I need that, she said. Okay. Not everyone is sold on the idea, including myself. Buttercup, thank you. Welcome. Buttercup says nothing. Sorry, all my old messages are loading. So if you said anything, I will know in 30 seconds. Okay, not everyone is sold on the idea, including myself. Gerald Shapiro, who teaches would-be therapists as a professor of counseling psychology at Santa Clara University in California, warned of the dangers inherent in support groups led by people who are not trained to screen and lead group therapy participants. Hold on. Thank you. Thank you, Gerald, for pointing out the fucking obvious. Sorry, I should stop cursing. Sorry. Quote, I can't tell you how complex and intricate being a group therapist is. Thank you. I cannot imagine. There seems to be a need for a lot of forethought and training. Oh, Buttercup says, fingers crossed for a Tarot appearance. Tarot, how are you doing? Where are you? I can see Tarot in my peripheral. Come here. We got fake Tarot in the house. Meow, 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 meow. She's looking at me like she's thinking about it. She is sitting with me outside on the chair, so this might be a good day for it. Okay, what else did Dr. Shapiro say? He added that in his view, a company that offers classes similar to group therapy sessions that are not led by mental health professionals would be, quote, pushing boundaries, which from a professional standpoint is scary. Again, thank you. Speaking as a rational person, I appreciate that. Asked about the issue, Rice said that Peoplehood isn't meant to replace the work of psychologists and psychiatrists. Quote, it feels therapeutic, but it's not therapy. It's vitamins, not medicine. Okay, glad, but still people are possibly not in therapy, so it's like they're treating it as a replacement, so you might still run into those issues. Okay, here's the training process. Okay. We put our guides, Sid, thank you. Thank you, welcome. Welcome. Okay. We put our guides through a very thorough training process, she continued. Oh, is there a membership? Thank you. Let me see. Thank you, My gifted 5 memberships. Woo!
You are privileged AF.
You are privileged AF. Thank you to My.
What happened to dinosaurs?
Yay. I think if there's 4 more, I believe, because I think it was 9 from the last time I uploaded those emotes, we can get another emote. Yes, YouTube doles emote availability out based on how many members you have. So if we get 5 more, No,
Get your
2
hearts
more.
ready.
Then we should have another opening. And if you don't care about this,
unfollow me.
Just kidding. Thank you, Mai. Thank you very much. Okay, so they say they put their guides through a very thorough training process. They attend many days of training and they practice many weeks before they are put on the schedule. They continue to be audited and have additional training each and every week. Okay, but what training? Where? They're not therapists, so it can't be as much as therapists would have training-wise. Miss Jones, the leader of the session I attended, said she had benefited from Peoplehood training. Quote, I thought I was a good listener, she said, but I found out I was trash. The reality is, how often do you have time to just let your thoughts unfold before someone else weighs in? The selling of spirituality and personal fulfillment outside houses of worship and therapist office is nothing new in American life, said the historian Natalia Petrozzella, an associate professor at the New School who has studied cultural movements. A century after the 19th century transcendentalists argued for the betterment of humankind through communion with nature, the cleric Norman Vincent Peale took a gospel of positivity to secular audiences through his bestseller, The Power of Positive Thinking. And then the world never recovered, and here we are. Now we have Tony Robbins conferences. And The Secret. Okay. As part of the rapid social change of the late 1960s, idealists in rebellion against rat race materialism joined communes and encounter groups. In the next decade came the rise of Erhard seminars trainings, known as EST. I don't know what this is. Interesting. A program fronted by the self-improvement guru Werner Erhard. EST participants tried to free themselves from old patterns at rigorous 60-hour seminars. Oh, God, 60-hour seminars? Amid criticism of the movement and its leaders, EST splintered in the 1980s. Nevertheless, Mr. Erhard helped spawn an industry of authors, motivational speakers, spiritualists, and TV hosts who promised answers to existential questions and offered solutions to the ills of modern life. That is a good summary, I think, of all the problems that we have in this space today. That everyone's searching for answers, and there's a lot of people who say they have them. In reality, I don't believe they have any more answers than me and you schmucks at home. Tara Isabella Burton, who studied the religiously unaffiliated in her 2020 book, Strange Rites, New Religions for a Godless World, has written that many people who have lost trust in institutions will put their faith in Instagram influencers specializing in self-care. Yep, I agree with that. A center devoted to self-improvement and community, expertly marketed and built on the model of a high-end fitness chain, could find a large audience, she said. Peoplehood sounds like a natural culmination of how we think about spirituality and commerce in 2022. The author, Amanda Montell, who argued that Soulcycle played a churchy role in the lives of its customers in her 2021 book, Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism, said she was skeptical of the company in the works from Cutler and Rice. Quote, putting your physical fitness in the hands of spinning instructors feels less of a risk than putting your spiritual, psychological, and emotional health in the hands of someone trying to build and scale a giant business. Yes. Amen. Oops, wrong one. And Amanda Montell, she's got her own, I think she's cultish. She's got the podcast where she talks about different cults. And I haven't listened to it much. I see it on Instagram more than I actually listen to a full podcast these days. But, in her book, I haven't read the book either. So I've been a bad student. But from her takes and things, I feel like she's got a good handle on sort of this world and understands it that, yeah, it's a slippery slope. And I tend to agree with a lot of her takes. Cutler and Rice are hoping that Peoplehood will become a regular part of their customers' lives, teaching them in the ways of what they call relational fitness. Dumb. What we're doing here is really using a lot of that Soulcycle playbook to help people connect with themselves and with each other. Okay, well, I was interesting. Okay, here's the super connector. That's her. Don't know who that is exactly. This is the life coach. Oh yeah, but this is not really their fault because it got bought by Equinox. So some of the issues with the Soulcycle today can't really be attributed to them anymore. But interesting about the WeWork stuff. That's so weird. I think there's more videos. And Mackenzie, welcome. Thank you, Mackenzie. This is just more about how it works, the workout for your brain. So great and wonderful. Here is, okay, so they're calling themselves Soul Founders. Apparently they share a Instagram, which they think is just sort of interesting. On our next journey at Peoplehood, they're the founders of Soulcycle, experience makers, brand junkies, all about people, community first. Okay. So it says, the founders of Soulcycle launch a meaningful new concept. No tap backs involved. I guess that's like a tap back is like a thing that is a spinning thing or something. I don't know. Okay, exciting. Let's go to their Instagram, Peoplehood Instagram. It's called A Place to Grow Personally Together. Okay, here's the merch you can buy. Of course, it starts in May 2023, e-commerce. It's now open inside of the New York store, but you have to wait for the e-commerce. Love is how we treat each other. Wow, profound. Peoplehood. I bet these are $70 plus each item.
Personality could be an accent.
Okay, let's meet one of the Peoplehood guides.
If my personality could be an accent, I'd be an Aussie. My name's Tiss, and today we're at Peoplehood, and we're gonna do a gather together. My name is Tess, and it's not short for anything. It's just Tess. Tess Renee Koenig, or little 6-year-old me was Tess Renee Koenig because I had so many speech impediments when I was younger, but I've kicked them all. Atlanta is home, but I have been in New York City for 12 years. So according to Carrie Bradshaw, that makes me an official New Yorker. Y'all, playlists are my love language. Is that like the most white girl? Playlists are my love language. Playlists really are the way that I show love. I love music. I think one of my superpowers, just having been a yoga teacher for about 6-7 years, is that I am really good at finding that music that doesn't have any lyrics but still makes you feel something. I like the music that's like you don't even realize it's in the space until all of a sudden it's time to switch as a speaker and listener, and you're like, wait, what is this good beat? I wish I had my phone on me so I could Shazam it, but oh shit, it's in the locker, because that's where our phones go in our gathers. My favorite color is anything bright. I'm thinking like sunrise.
What is your favorite color? Everyone wants to know, Brittany. Where's your favorite restaurant? Okay, I mean, again, I don't know what qualifies her. She's a yoga teacher. Okay, I'm also a yoga teacher, technically. I did the training, the 200-hour training. Can I solve your mental health problems? No, I cannot. So, okay.
Hues, there was a really pretty one today. So yeah, like pinks, oranges, yellows, bright. Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? Peoplehood is a space where we work on ourselves, where we can grow, where we embrace not being stuck in something.
The music's too loud. I'm sorry, I can't deal. Instagram needs to fix that problem. Okay, this is her page. She's yoga plus wellness coach, of course. Balanced living, menu, movement, mindset, meditation, teacher at this yoga studio. So it seems like a great way to recruit people to your yoga studio, yoga classes, to get them to join your courses. You know, it's a prime picking. They got 20 people in there sharing all their deep fears. Now you go, did you know that I actually teach a yoga class and have a course? I can like do one-on-ones with you. Again, seems like you're in the place to be manipulated because you're being vulnerable, but these people aren't qualified to make sure to step back ethically to, you know, make you not feel pressured to buy something and go, I can fix that problem you brought up in group today or in gather today. I have my own thing. So yeah, New York from Atlanta. She's got holiday support group, yoga schedule. She's got a Spotify, and she's got a marathon fundraiser. I want to connect with you, Tess. Okay, so yoga teacher did a training for Peoplehood. Okay. The other one was an actress, so about the same. What is this? Gather schedule is live, peeps. Jump on it. Okay. It says codependent. It's one of the labels here. And a scary 3-eyed face. And so you can go at 8:30, 9:30, 12:30, 6:30, or 8. Okay. And then says, what is one of your big regrets? Do you suffer from imposter syndrome? And what talent areas? Questions to self. What are great ways to spend time with your family? Okay. Again, just seems a little manipulative to me. Here's another guide.
Oh, well, we've got a visitor. Hey, besties. My name is Jasmine, and I am from
They're quirky.
My name is Jasmine Kylene, and I am a guide with Peoplehood. I never know if the question where you're from is like culturally or physically, but I'm half black, half Spanish.
But what's your favorite color, though?
And I currently reside where I grew up, which is Miami, Florida. Which communities do I belong to? I love that question. I belong to the Black community. I belong to the Afro-Latino community. I belong to the queer community. Come on, by awareness. And I belong to the girlies who like to nap and eat clementines community. What is Peoplehood? Peoplehood is...
Okay, we know what Peoplehood is. It's a farce. Okay, so she's a journalist. She likes music, the cosmos, and serendipity. Okay. Confused a little, but she's doing chakra healings and activating dance classes. So, okay. Astro guide. So, seems to be on the woo-woo side of the world of things. Not my favorite any longer, just because I don't trust I don't trust that any longer. But again, not seeing therapy, not seeing therapist, and it seems to be young, attractive women that are leading these groups. Why, you may ask? I don't know. Maybe that's who they were attracting. That's what worked the model in the Soulcycle session.
Morning from Peoplehood. Welcome to Peoplehood. Our first morning. We're so excited to be with you. Thank you all for joining us here. It's been such a long
it's
journey.
so exciting. We are opening a studio again. It feels like first day of school, circa 2005. Now we're the only people here today, even though it's our opening day. So somebody might want to come and join us. We're here on 17th Street. Welcome to our studio.
First
All right,
look
let's see
in.
it.
First look in.
Woohoo! Now again, these people are worth $90 million each, at least. That's what they got to leave Soulcycle, or when they left, I guess.
Good morning. All these smiling faces.
Yes. Hey, Desire.
Hi, Desire. You want to say good morning? Good morning. Welcome to Peoplehood.
Hey.
I don't know. I feel like I'm hating on it more than I need to, maybe, perhaps. I just feel like this is a place for, people who aren't maybe working, who are like stay-at-home girlfriends, or people who have disposable income and living in New York, like trust fund kids who feel like they have either something to share, something to like get from you, like they're trying to manipulate you in some way, or just bored and lonely and have money, like they can show up and just talk about themselves for an hour. I don't know, maybe that's not so bad. I just think that this is medicine, like to call it medicine for America's loneliness epidemic, it's like, okay, you're out of your depths here with that one. This is like a rich person, just like daycare for adults. That's what it seems like. I hate to say that, but that's what it is to me. Yeah, like, okay.
Position. So palms are open, palms are facing the front of the room.
Just like, I don't know if it's because I was involved in this type of shit, but like, you know how many fucking meetings I went to where it was like spiritual, like, because I did a lot of video production work for this type of genre where they were appealing to leadership coaches and business. Every meeting started off like, okay, we're gonna just do a little meditation, a little yoga. It's just, they all do the same stuff and no one ever gets better. You just bounce from one to the next.
Saturn is the planet that...
Yeah. Okay, talking about Saturn. Yeah, I mean, this looks like my old life coach's Instagram today. Like sharing young Pablo's stuff and quotes from Ernest Hemingway and hosting group sessions on Zoom. It's all the same. Okay, Esther Perel. Yeah. All right. All right. Lady Vixen, thank you. Lady Vixen says, Peoplehood, where everyone is hot, holy, and rich. Hell yeah.
This situation is a red flag.
When all the trainers they look the same, and the only questions they're answering are what their favorite color is and what community they belong to, be a little afraid, maybe, perhaps.
I am not problematic.
That's what they will all say. Thank you, Lady Vixen. And for that I say...
Boothing.
Okay, we looked at the website. The TikTok is pretty slim, and they're just starting, I guess. So there's only like four things. So it says, we talk freely and listen deeply.
Okay, so how am I doing really?
This is Shamika. She's the one that is the actress and the... What was it? Actress and dancer or something. So she's one of the super connectors.
In this moment, I am pretty lit. I'm going into my birthday weekend. So I'm feeling
lit.
I don't know. I'm feeling like if glitter could turn up on the inside of me, that's how I'm feeling right now.
I'm drunk.
I think it feels so good because there are so many things right now in my world that are a freaking disaster. Okay, that's dramatic, but that's how I feel. It feels like no matter how much work, passion, energy, time I invest in them, they're not turning out in my favor. So there's a temptation, there's a little heaviness on my heart. Going into the holidays, not feeling like, ooh, the way my checking and my savings is though. Or the relationships that I have with some of my family members don't feel very jolly. Or the fact that my husband is in a lot of physical pain right now and I can't change it. There are a lot of things I think right now that make me feel a little heavy, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the delight that I have in my heart as I get ready for a new birthday, because there's so many people that didn't make it to this birthday. So I'm really excited. And no, I'm not going to tell you the number because it ain't none of your business. So that's how I'm doing really. Okay, so
just sharing your trauma on TikTok, nothing new there, but I don't get it. I don't get what this company is trying to do other than make you feel like
I dare you.
You're safe to share your trauma, but then have no qualifications to deal with it if you actually shared it. That's just the bottom line of what I'm hearing. Okay. This is another person, I guess.
I dare you to stop your scroll for 60 seconds and hear me out.
I can't do it. I can't. I must scroll ahead.
On some things about trust and listening. The human brain is designed to detect trust and distrust in our everyday conversations. Trust is the first signal we look for to determine if we can open up or need to close down for protection. When our brain detects trust and safety, we turn off the fear-based messages from the amygdala.
This is like so much content on TikTok. It's not even funny anymore, but it's like, I dare you for 60 seconds to listen to me, an unqualified person, talk about your brain from an article that I read on people.com wellness section. Oh God, this is what all it is now.
And operate out of the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex helps.
Let's just add a Pixar song and make it emotional. We'll keep it black and white. We'll show some pigeons and some generic footage, and it'll be a hit.
Us make judgment calls, have empathy and compassion, and anticipate the future.
One of the comments, though, this is something I'm interested in. This is something that I think about with BetterHelp, and I've been looking at BetterHelp for a long time, and I've seen people's critiques of it, and I agree. It just seems like it's not a good idea, and I've heard horror stories about BetterHelp, but I have not done enough research where I feel like confident to come out and say this is a complete scam or bullshit or whatever. There's a lot of like red flags.
This situation is a red flag.
With BetterHelp, but one of them was their privacy policy, and like so it's all done online, it's all done online, BetterHelp. So if you search out a therapist for an eating disorder, for example, or depression, can the company take that data, which is like the real oil now of the world, the data that you have an eating disorder, or you believe you do, or you have depression, and sell that to pharmaceutical companies, sell that to diet pills? Like, there was a lot of speculation about that. Now, I don't know where that ever landed, but here's a question that's reminding me of that says, so what's up with your privacy policy? How about don't sell your users' data to shady companies when confidentiality is one of your, quote, core tenets, please? So maybe they are doing that, perhaps. Maybe that someone called that. I didn't find that in my research about, them selling data, but that would be something I would want to consider. Like, if you're filling out questionnaires, or these video calls are being recorded, if you're sharing something specific, like, I'm afraid of, I don't know, my biggest fear is gaining weight, and now all of a sudden you're getting ads like in your feed for a certain thing because they're selling your data. I don't know if that's possible, but something I always try to keep in mind with these online places where, again, there's no ethical boundaries that, people can lose their license over if you do something like that. These are companies. These aren't, scientific institutions, healthcare facilities at all. Thank you, JLB Nerdy. JLB Nerdy says, this is where the Gossip Girl folks would hang out. Yeah, for sure. And they would feel like, oh, I really, I helped somebody today by going like this in my class. And maybe they did. Maybe I'm being a hater. I am a hater, but still, like, it's weird to me. It's like, if you really wanted to help people, guide them into therapy. Let's get a system where therapy can be more affordable for everybody, as opposed to only offering it to the highest possible class earners in New York City that can do this work. If it's that important, allow everyone to do it. Can I get an amen?
The mango frequency.
Can I get an amen?
Since then, we've also healed a car.
But alas, I will wait here. And then someone else says, I don't trust this pseudoscience cult-like bullshit. And okay, wait. And another one says, look up their privacy policies before joining. It is not confidential, very sketchy. Okay, wait. So hold up. Let's see. It was updated the day after Valentine's Day. Okay, introduction, information we collect and how we collect information. Okay, this might be boring. So we may collect information you provide directly via the services. We may ask you for some or all of the following: your name, phone, address, email. Okay. If you purchase our services, you may be required to provide financial information such as credit. Okay, that's fine. We do not collect or store such financial information. Okay. Info we automatically collect. Sorry, information we automatically collect. Your browser type and operating system, your internet IP address, which is the number automatically assigned to your computer whenever you access the internet and can sometimes be used to derive your general geographic area. Okay. Why would you need that? Why would you need that at all? You're one facility in Chelsea and an online group. Why would you need to know where I am in my general geographic area? Geolocation information, other unique identifiers, including mobile device identification numbers, sites you visited before and after visiting the services, pages you view, and links you click on within the services, information collected through cookies, web beacons, and other technologies. Information, okay. Pixel tags, web beacons, cookies. Okay, that's for their advertising, I'm assuming. Third-party information collection. Oh, we may allow third parties to place and read their own cookies, web beacons, and other technologies to collect information through the services. For example, our third-party service providers may use these technologies to collect information that helps us with traffic measurement, research, and analytics. Okay, well, I don't know if that's that crazy. We use your information. We may use information that we collect about you or that you provide to us, including personal information, to measure usage of the services, to analyze the effectiveness of our services, to conduct research, to improve and enhance the functionality of the services, to provide support for the services, and respond to requests and inquiries, to provide you with notices such as updates or changes that we may make to our services, and to market and advertise the services, including through promotional email messages directly or in partnership with other parties. Yeah, that is where I start to go. That could be used against you, especially when you're being vulnerable. Okay, there's marketing communications, cookies, Google Analytics, and third-party advertising. I don't know. You let me know. Is this like standard protocol for all websites, or is this a special thing because it is a mental health, or they're not saying it's mental health, but basically they're encouraging you to share your deepest desires and fears, that it could dip its toe into that. Other parties with your consent, aggregate information in connection with a transfer of assets, other parties when required by law, select business. Okay, here's this one. Select business partner. We may share your information with select business partners so that they can provide you with special offers, promotional materials, advertisements, and other materials that may be of interest to you. However, we are not responsible for the privacy practices of these business partners, which may use your information for their own purposes. Okay, that's a problem. Again, like why? Okay, so now you've tracked me on my computer. Now I've shared in the group that I'm afraid of I hate my boss. I don't know. I hate my boss and I'm afraid to lose my job. And now I'm going to be targeted with leadership training, workplace, positivity, coaches, because they paid money to Peoplehood to be advertised to their list. That is sketchy. I don't love that. Interesting. It says California, also known as Shine the Light Law, permits our users who are California residents to request and obtain from us once a calendar year and free of charge information about categories of personal information we disclosed to third parties for direct marketing purposes and the names and addresses of all. So if you're in California, we can request this once a year. So you have to be 14 years old, I guess, to do this. Interesting. Okay, what do we think? Do we think it seems that they're building it in so that they can share your information, unfortunately. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Angela Arnold, thank you. Angela says, I've bought lots of digital ads and manage ad networks. This is asking for a lot more beyond a typical website. They are able to sell info based on this TNC, terms and conditions. Thank you, Angela, for answering that question. That's sketch. But, I'm assuming since Soulcycle did so well, they must have some marketing knowledge. So maybe that was one of the things. They got people's data immediately and know how to use it well. But again, when it comes into the mental health part, that's where I start to go, ethics, where are they? Is this about scaling human experience with no, end in sight because it's a company? We have to grow regardless of people's health and possible issues. When you have shareholders as the stakeholders, that's when your health, your wealth, your personality comes in second to their needs for money. So, not surprised. It is still disappointing though. Okay, what was this? Oh yeah, here was one. It was like this is a short thing. It's like, why the keys to starting a business are simpler than you think. This is from one of the, or maybe both of them, or both of the founders. And it's Inc. in partnership with Capital One Business. Why the keys to starting a business are simpler than you think. Okay, let's see.
Well, I think that you do have to have an idea of what the business is that you want to start. I think that people really underestimate what hard work starting a business is. By the time you see a product in the marketplace or you come to a Soulcycle class, we have already, all killed ourselves to make that happen, right? It's like, Elizabeth and I used to joke around. We'd be behind the front desk in some cute t-shirts and everybody would be like, I want to have a spin studio. We think, so I think that, first of all, you really have to be passionate about something. There has to be really an idea that's burning, because if it isn't, it's just, I think that you might be better off joining an organization of some sort. And then I think that once you have that idea, I think it's really just about hard work in the beginning. I don't know that there's anything much more to tell people than it is about hard work. It's about, if it doesn't work one way, trying again. I think really in the beginning, it's just about resilience and grit. There's nothing complicated about it. For us.
Okay, another business guru worth millions and millions of dollars. It's just hard work. There's nothing complicated about it. Okay, go back to WeWork. I don't know. Yikes. Okay, well, that's Peoplehood. There's not that much, press about it, work done about it, videos to watch about it, because it's so new. Basically just launched. So we'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, that privacy policy seems like maybe the true, because I don't know how much if they limit classes in person to 20 people a session, looks like there's 4 or 5 a day, both virtual and in person. That's not Soulcycle across the globe money. And if that's what they're willing and wanting to create again, but with mental health, they're going to have to scale it and make it be profitable, right? I would assume, unless this is just like their fun project. But again, if this is just your fun project, why don't you put it for $5 and have some actual people with not actual problems? I'm sure people who can afford $100 a month have actual problems, but it's going to be that either people are going to go broke going to these classes because they find them so helpful, which I doubt, but maybe they've been manipulated to feel that way. Or it's going to be people who can afford things, and they'll never get to experience people who have financial issues as a big issue in this world. And it's isn't that valuable? No, it's not. It's not valuable. Pretend those people don't exist. Okay. Anyways, so from one grift to the next. So those women are rich, obviously. They're doing their Peoplehood thing. Roll my eyes, whatever. Now we're going to talk about another rich woman who is starting her own thing. Now this is a nonprofit, okay? But this woman named Elizabeth Koch, and not from Coca-Cola, but pronounced the same way. Her daddy is worth over $60 billion. Okay? So she's going to tell you that, her life is not that great. And she can help you with your life, though, because she can understand and empathize with your life as the daughter of a $60 billion worth man.
I happen to be an empath myself.
She's definitely an empath. Okay, who am I talking about? I already said it, but her name, Elizabeth Koch. She's the daughter of the right-wing political force, Charles Koch, is working to bridge societal divides. Okay, and a lot of people on Twitter ripped this New York Times reporter in half, which I sort of tend to agree with. This is a very softball profile piece where she looks like Elizabeth Holmes and, I'm a CEO, I'm a leader of a movement, power pose here. And she's just so cool. And she talks to the everyday man. She's not like her dad. Don't lump her in with her dad, even though she'll accept his money and, not speak out against him directly. But she wants you to know that, she's different. And I really think she reminds me, I put it on Twitter, of Nancy Saltzman from NXIVM, the one who was beneath Keith, who was doing the videos and things, because literally when I was watching this video, I didn't watch the audio of it, but just watching the visuals of it, I was like, this is reminding me of NXIVM so much, the trainings that they had, and they would send them out to all their members to watch. And Nancy was the one on camera. That's what this woman looks like. And we'll read the article, but first, let's hear from her. This is what the video looks like. So highly produced video, and she's going to explain what her nonprofit does. Now, she apparently loves writing. She went to 2 prestigious writing institutions, and was in charge of like a indie, or I guess it was indie book publishing company at one point, Catapult, and then it had a division that had a magazine, and apparently she laid like everybody off sort of surprisingly so that she could launch this, and people were not happy about that. So that was what sort of Twitter was talking about. And if you don't know about the Koch brothers, they're heavily involved in oil. Like the article said, they're sort of right wing. They're big into like climate denying. Apparently, they are the ones who sort of started that whole thing, and they have like a whole YouTube account where they try to, humanize themselves, but they're like the richest people in the world. Like I know Elon Musk is like the richest man, but this family is like the richest family in the whole world, I believe. And, they're going to show you some videos about like what we think about family, how we believe our family should be run. And this is, so Charles is her dad, who we're going to be talking about. And they did this whole, like, we don't have to watch it, but this whole edited video about what they think about parenthood to try to make it seem like they're, just like you.
I had mixed emotions. One, I was working all the time, and so
I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to watch it. But basically, it's one big hypocrite after the next, right? Like, she's a billionaire by birth, but she's got a complex about it because, it's unfair. It's not her fault, which it's not her fault. But now she's going to teach you, the lowly person, how to be a better human in the world. It's just ironic completely. So, okay. Where should we start? Sorry. Oh my God. Where should we start? Okay. This is the thing. This is like the company, right? Called Unlikely Collaborators. Now, this is her whole concept in the world. The only way forward is inward. Question everything, starting with yourself. The journey to understanding others and your place in this beautiful, batshit, melodic, madcap, radiant, ridiculous world starts with understanding who you are beneath your stories. So that's what her life purpose is, by starting this non-profit organization that's going to talk to you about your perception box. Okay, why we exist. We all live inside an invisible but ever-present mental box, a perception box. Now, my theory is that she feels like people perceive her as a rich bitch no matter what. And I'll give examples for why I believe that. She literally says that in one of her essays that she wrote when she was younger. And that she wants to go out and change people's perception of her because she's actually a good person despite, her growing up in extreme wealth, her, parents, dad being involved in this sort of ethically questionable business. She's apparently cares about the environment, but not enough to really do anything about it. Anyways, let's listen to her for a second. We want to see, what is the perception box?
This is a great opportunity to ask you, Elizabeth, what is his perception box?
Well, Christoph, if I said to you that every human being who has ever lived and will ever live exists inside a perception box, what would that mean to you?
Nothing. Also, Christoph has the same last name, but I was not able to detect if they were related or not. I don't know if it's just a coincidence. She just trusts people with Koch as their last name. But he seems to be like not from America or has a very thick accent. So I'm like, I don't think that any of her family has that. But anyways, just an anomaly, I guess.
Is beliefs.
Wait, let me go back, sorry.
Will ever live exists inside a perception box. What would that mean to you? What would
Nothing.
you say a perception box is?
I don't know.
Beliefs, mental models, a lens, assumptions, prejudice, a paradigm. Absolutely. All of that has something to do with perception box. The way we describe perception box at our parent organization, Unlikely Collaborators, is it's this invisible mental box that every human being alive lives inside that distorts their perceptions. It distorts our ability to understand one another, and to understand ourselves.
And especially me. And because people have perceived me wrong. I'm actually a really good person, okay?
It's made from the material of our beliefs. Sometimes that unlikely, we call them stories. For example, our cognitive distortions, catastrophizing, magnifying, personalizing, labels, polarized thinking, and all the biases, confirmation bias, negativity bias. Now, a lot of those distortions, they may seem like beliefs we have about other people. And that's definitely a huge part of perception box.
Again, it's like, are you a psychologist? Are you a therapist? Have you done any training in anything? If you're so interested in this, like, I was going to say, well, I could say it. Like, for example, I hate to bring her up again, but here we go. Like Rachel Hollis says, I love education. I'm obsessed with learning. I cannot stop learning. I love learning. If you ask, like, who is the biggest learner that's ever walked the earth? It's me, baby. It's me, Rach, your friend Rach, your little girlfriend, friend.
Rach?
Baby Cakes Rach. Right? But she never went to college, or she went to 1 year of acting school, then dropped out, never went back, never pursued a higher education. It's fine. But like, if you really loved that, like teaching, like learning in an environment, wouldn't you pursue higher education? Same for this lady. She went to like writing school, okay, for like fiction writing or whatever. Wonderful. But why are you now so obsessed with confirmation bias and teaching people about perception? Why don't you go and get actual schooling? It's because of the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's like the less you know about something, the more highly convinced you are you know everything. And it's like, this is what all these people do. They don't want to go to school or go get training. She could afford it. My God, she's got $60 billion at her disposal. If she wanted to go to Harvard for fucking perception, she could do it. Or start her own university about this. She can. And work with the best people in the entire world on this subject. But I feel like she wouldn't want to do that because it would change her own theory and therefore ruin the allure that it's all a lot more complicated than just changing your perception and choosing joy. You know, come on. And it's coming through, but Kate, thank you so much. Kate says, it is dangerous to combine this legit psych language with bogus self-help, cognitive distortions, etc. Yes, I agree 100%. Thank you again, Kate. Yeah, again, she's no expert. She's not a research person. She's got the dude, Christoph, who apparently is some sort of scientist, research scientist. But like, just because he's sitting next to her doesn't mean that she's osmosisly absorbing his knowledge at all. So it's just like, why are you giving this a lesson? You know, it's just weird. But anyways, for that I say...
Like, I'm not drinking the Rachel Hollis Kool-Aid.
I'm not drinking the Elizabeth Coke, okay? Coca-Cola, as you will. Thank you, Kate. I appreciate that a lot. Here we go.
But beneath all those distorted beliefs we have about other people are the distorted beliefs we have about ourselves. And we get these beliefs when we're very young. We're so young, they even have almost a childlike language to it. I'm not good enough. I don't matter. I'm unlovable. I'm not safe. I'm bad. Now, it seems like when we become adults,
he looks like he's being held hostage. He's like, I don't know how I got here, but I'm here, and my family now knows I'm okay. They didn't see me for months because we were shooting this video over and over again.
These beliefs should just go away, but they don't. They get buried in our unconscious minds and quietly, almost silently, rule our behavior behind the scenes. So some of you might be skeptical about this. I'm going to give you some examples of when adults are being motivated by childhood perception box beliefs. Guy in a meeting, he's hogging all the airtime, bragging a lot, always trying to get credit. What's that about? What's this guy doing? He's trying to prove that he matters. His perception box belief is, I don't matter. Say a person's really clingy and
stock footage of people, graphics, 2D graphics. I love it. Okay. All right. Sounds like, so if we were at Peoplehood and there's a guy who's bragging, his perception box, let's just combine all of these grifts into one.
A relationship. What's that about? They're trying to get affirmation that they're lovable. Their perception box story is, I'm not lovable. One more example. A person who's super controlling, really stubborn, micromanages everyone around them. What's that about? Well, that person is likely running a perception box story, I'm not safe. Christoph, you understand.
Why? Couldn't that just be bossy? Or couldn't they just be like taking their stress out from a bad marriage or something on the coworkers? Like there's many different reasons. Maybe they had a childhood that wasn't good. Maybe they have concerns about money. Maybe they have an addiction they're hiding. Like there's a million things. Oh, they're not safe. That's it. Simple. What if life was this simple? Would we all be here talking about this, discussing these things for hours on end? No. We'll be out there in the fields, all millionaires, living on an island somewhere, enjoying ourselves. But yet, no. Only you're doing that, Elizabeth.
Understand the science behind all of this. Will you please tell everyone the science behind perception box?
Your brain is a prediction engine that's based on your particular unique genetic inheritance and physiology, shaped by your particular unique lived experience of the world, reaching all the way back into early childhood and any adverse events that have happened to you, any spoken, unspoken assumptions from families, teachers, and media about appropriate, inappropriate behavior, about good and bad people. All of it forms the perceived reality of the world. It is the only world you know. It is a world constructed by your brain. So technically, this is known as predictive coding, predictive processing, or Bayesian filtering.
Okay, just need to comment on his shirt for a minute. Doesn't it look like a far out version of like a slum? Now, I hate to say that because that sounds offensive, and I don't mean it offensively, but doesn't that what his shirt look like? It's a bunch of houses stacked on top of each other. What an odd choice to be sitting next to a billionaire. An inherited wealth billionaire to wear a shirt like that, where all those people hypothetically living in these little houses on his shirt would have no privacy and have to be stacked on top of each other.
Other people with different life paths experience a different reality. And these implicit assumptions, most of which are unconscious, you can't access them because they are deeply wired into your nervous system, and they allow you to survive in an uncertain and sometimes hostile environment. But these constraints limit you and your potential. They can be cause of much suffering and interpersonal conflicts. So this is the perception box that you, Elizabeth, speak about.
So
you made up because you're bored.
Technically, when we talk about perception box beliefs, we're referring to all possible beliefs. But the beliefs that we're more narrowly focused on at Tiny Blue Dot fit into two main buckets, and they both have to do with conflict. The beliefs that put us into conflict with other people, and the beliefs that put us into conflict with ourselves.
Oh, wow.
The beliefs that put us into conflict with other people have us dividing up the whole world into us versus them, me versus you. Are you with us or are you against us?
Oh, okay. So it's everyone's perception that rich people live a more privileged, safer, better life. Maybe not better, but all those other things I said. Safer, more opportunity, more fulfilling perhaps lives than someone who's born poor and trying to get out of the system, but is finding it difficult to get out of. That's just a perception. Me and her are actually the same, even though she was born into every opportunity and possibility in the world. It's just like, okay, it's just trying to, I think what all this is, it boils down to with these millionaires, the guy who's trying to go back in time and be 18 because he's got $1 bazillion. She's trying to start a nonprofit to help people change their perceptions. The people who have $90 million each from Soulcycle have to start this like therapy group. It's because they feel like they don't deserve it or life doesn't make sense and why they are at the top of the heap and all the other people are at the bottom. And I feel like they create these companies, these nonprofits, these ideas, these seminars, these cults to try to explain why they deserve to be there and it's not luck. Like Tom Bilyeu, it's not luck, it's hard work, it's all these things that I did. It's like, what if it was just luck? What if it was? And they have to prove themselves, to their own perception box, to their brain that it was not pure luck or a bunch of different factors or their daddy's money or whatever. They cannot live with themselves that is possibly true. That's my theory on all of this. It's all a self-indulgent, like personal project that we all have to suffer through because they have the money to throw it down our throats.
Do you see things the way I do, or do you see them wrongly? Beliefs that put us in conflict with ourselves have us in a constant state of comparison, comparing ourselves to other people and comparing ourselves to ourselves at some time in the past where we were more awesome, or sometime in the future where we're gonna be way more awesome than we are now. And this conflict, when we're in conflict with ourselves or with other people, our perception box walls contract. We feel claustrophobic, like victims without agency, on the hunt for someone to blame for how we're feeling inside ourselves. Conversely, when the walls of our perception box expand, we feel connected to others and to ourselves. We're so much more open to other points of view and other ways of being because it no longer feels threatening to us.
At Tiny Blue Dot, we deeply care about addressing all these conflicts Elizabeth just spoke about. So therefore, we want to fund the discovery and the development of tools, techniques, and methods for individuals to viscerally realize, to truly understand that everyone, including themselves, lives inside their own perception box, but that the walls of this box can be changed, they can be expanded, and that through transformative experiences, anyone can learn to rewire their own brain and see the same world with literally a new mind.
Okay. I'm intrigued. And there's actually a small, tiny connection between Brian Johnson, the 45-year-old man who wants to be 18, and Elizabeth. And it's because of what Christoph just said, that they want to fund projects that expand upon their idea that everyone's got a different perception box. So Elizabeth's husband is a dude who is a startup guy. His name is Jason Kakianis. Sorry if that's incorrectly spelled. But he is, Jason Kakoyiannis. He is a startup dude who's involved in like neurology stuff. Like he wants, I don't know, he's something to do with like those companies. And one of the companies that he runs is one of the companies that Brian Johnson is also a member of or something like that. I forget. I didn't save that link. But he's a biotech engineer. Why is it not showing up? He doesn't get his own page? Oh, yeah, here it is. So he's got companies, one of them being Ginkgo Bioworks, and that was one that I remember reading on Brian Johnson's website that he had invested in. So a little connection. All rich people are related. That is a true statement. Okay, so that was what is perception box. This is another short one. This is the science of perception box research study. And it says, this is, again, hot take, 365 views. So you're brand new. Elizabeth Koch, the founder of Tiny Blue Dot Foundation, and Christoph Koch, the chief scientist at Tiny Blue Dot Foundation, announced funding up to 10 major neuroscientific research projects related to the science of perception box, with each project receiving up to $900,000. Now, I still think that's a lot, but to some people, they would say that's like, you know, Jeff Bezos giving $10 to you. It's like nothing to them, but you know, still it's significant to everyone else in the world, basically. Okay.
We're here today to talk about an exciting open call for research proposals that we are funding.
It involves neuroscience, specifically the science of perception box. The way we describe perception box is it's this invisible mental box that every human being alive lives inside. That
she must love Pulp Fiction. That must be her favorite square. I just think it's an interesting way to spend money, I suppose. Also, like, okay, we're gonna fund companies and projects to literally confirm my world beliefs that may be flawed, but we're gonna pay people to make research projects that prove exactly what I think theoretically.
It distorts their perceptions. It distorts our ability to understand one another and to understand ourselves.
We seek to fund up to 10 rigorous, empirical, statistically valid, and sound research projects to develop techniques and interventions that impact the walls of people's perception box, to measure the effectiveness of these techniques and interventions for both neurotypicals as well as in clinical defined populations, and to track their bases in the brain using appropriate tools.
We're looking to research and understand both expanded perception box states like joy and compassion and wonder and awe, and contracted perception box states like anger and anxiety and fear and shame. The research could investigate either the states themselves or the tools used to experience and measure them. So what do we mean by tools? Well, everything from somatic experiencing to holotropic.
Okay, let's see what they want. Ego reduction, psychedelic assisted therapy, trance, holotropic breathwork, Samatha, functional brain. We're gonna get Dr. Amon's gonna be calling in soon. Yes, I would like to collect my $900,000. I scanned people's brains and I found the key to humanity is to going to my clinic and giving me money.
Breath
life experiences, EEG, MEG recordings.
Work to psychedelics.
Meaning making, ketamine, meditation, behavior, MDMA, assisted therapy, consciousness, applets,
and mindfulness
neurodiversity,
practices to jumping.
Empathy. I'm an empath myself.
I happen to be an empath myself.
In an ice bath. I don't know, get imaginative, you're the researchers. Bottom line, we're looking for projects that in some way, shape, or form ultimately help people, help individuals, and help communities.
Applicants can seek funding for up to 3 consecutive years, with funding in a single year for up to $300,000, for a total of up to $900,000.
All the other important information is on our Tiny Blue Dot website.
We look forward to hearing from you and receiving your letter of intent.
We are so excited to see the incredibly imaginative research ideas that you creative geniuses come up with.
Yes.
I'm Christoph. Yes. Yes. I support this crazy thing. Okay. Great. Can't wait to see that succeed. That's their only website information, basically. So it's a little confusing because, okay, so this is Unlikely Collaborators, which is a nonprofit. And it's talking about the perception box, okay? And she's the creator and founder. So it says, built from the material of your beliefs, aka the bullshit you tell yourself and collect from those around you over the course of your life, the perception box, trademarked, of course. You can't have a project without a trademark, literal TM perception box. These people, man, are so crazy. Has the power to distort your reality and leave you feeling isolated, disconnected, and fearful. By asking sometimes contradictory but always consequential questions, we'll show you how to understand and work with your perception box, how to overcome the limiting beliefs that hold you back, expand the possibilities of perception, and invite in new ways of seeing and being seen. Okay, does this not, again, sound like NXIVM? Like, join us. We're going to teach you in our compound in Albany, New York, how to open and expand your mind by dating the leader. You know, like, we're going to push you to your comfort zone. Like, they all have the same bullshit, but it's usually in a different, now this is like a different, we're going to, instead of calling it ego work, we're going to call it perception box. Instead of calling it limiting beliefs, we're going to call it, you know, I don't know, holdbacks, something like that. Okay, here's a person that's painting, a squiggle painter. Unlikely collaborators exist to untangle the stories that tell us who we ought to be. Again, that's another self-help trope that I hate. Become the person you were always meant to become, and be the person who, how did you, I was like, I forget one of the things. And I just saw Tom Bilyeu say something similar. It was like, who were you before you became the person who you wanted to become and you were meant to become? It's like, what? I think I'm the same person I was since I was born. I'm living in the same body. My brain is the same brain. Yes, I've evolved. Yes, I've changed. I have many, many feelings that have gone up and down and all around in roller coaster time. It's still all me, and that's how human beings are. It's not who I ought to become. Like, I'm the same person. I can improve in certain ways and I can get worse in certain ways. I hate this perception that people can just become a new person. I've never seen it happen. If you have an example of it, I would love to see it, but I just think it's a stupid idea that makes people continue to buy this crap and go on retreats over and over again because they're like, one day I'll be the person I ought to be. It's like, you already are the person you ought to be. It's who you are. Come on. Anyways. You're living in a tangle of stories others have told you and stories you've told yourself. Every time you freeze up, freak out, or want to swallow your tongue, another gnarled knot of stories appear in your perception box. Wouldn't it be nice if you could untangle this mess? You can, but we'll be honest, untangling sucks. The knots can seem too tight, too daunting, too pervasive to undo. That's where we come in and indoctrinate you into a cult. Okay, sorry. We gather people in the process of detangling, okay? We gather vulnerable people. We gather people in the process of detangling. As a community, we investigate and share and listen. We gather at Peoplehood every week. We question our questions. We doubt our doubts. We listen hard enough to hear ourselves. And then the knots begin to loosen. We discover something surprising. Joy. They don't choose joy here. They discover joy. It's always been there, right there, in the center of our knots, waiting for us to notice it. That's when the things that make us suffer become the things that make us laugh. Okay, what the fuck? These people, man. They got balls of steel. They got tiny blue dots of balls. Okay, so this is the neurology. They're going to give you money to invest in your startup. It says it's a collaborative effort to understand the nature of perception box and how to expand its walls using neuroscience-based interventions. So it's a little confusing, but okay, Tiny Blue Dot Foundation strives to help people understand that they live in their own unique perception box. And I'm sure this means because it's a foundation that there's tax advantages to this. So she can just spend all this $900,000 and not pay the taxes. That's a perception I'd like to change. Okay. Whose walls can be expanded to minimize suffering, increase acceptance of self and others, and view trauma/other challenges as opportunities for growth. Our mission is to develop perception box modification techniques that are safe, effective, reliable, measurable, widely accessible, and easy to use. So there seeks to fund neuroscientific research related to expanding people's perception box. They're going to educate, experience, and measure. Okay, cool. Now, I think, so they got different hospitals are working on this. Okay. So what they're doing in the University of Milan is developing and disseminating a reliable index to detect consciousness at patients' bedsides. I mean, I guess that sounds okay. I don't know how that really is related to the perception box. Okay, at the Medical University of South Carolina and their psychiatry department and their brain stimulation division, they're creating a simple system for measuring consciousness at the bedside or in the operating room. Okay, they're doing the same thing. Perfecting a test of consciousness and focused ultrasound on the right amygdala for potentially treating anxiety. Could that be nice? What else? In LA, what are they doing in LA? Nothing? San Jose? They're doing psychotherapy and subjects with post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, that's cool. All right, let's read the New York Times article. Now, again, like I said, this one was not received well on Twitter. So I gotta wet my whistle. I gotta take my 10 gulp rule. All right. So, and I think deservedly so, this article was way too nice. And I'm also going to leave it in a minute and read one of her essays that I think people will just die when I start reading it. They're like, what the fuck? This lady cray. Now, to be fair, she wrote it in 2007, this essay. But it's interesting. Okay, Brooks Barnes. He's the writer who got skewered on Twitter. Okay, even as a young girl, Elizabeth Koch was keenly aware of her family's extreme wealth. My beloved parents, they were paranoid about raising spoiled pieces of, and so I heard about it a lot, and I could see how other people responded to us, she said. I sensed it everywhere, she added. I didn't get that it was about the family. I'm just seeing that it's about me, so I must be bad. She decided to dedicate her life to one pursuit, to not be hated. Same girl, same. Koch, 47, is the daughter of Charles Koch, 87, the billionaire industrialist, climate change boogeyman, and far-right political force. His wealth is estimated at roughly $66 billion, more money than any of us will ever see, touch, or feel, or even be close to, or understand the perception of in our lifetime, unfortunately. Miss Koch is named after her mother, who goes by Liz. The family is close. Everyone spent Christmas together in Las Vegas, staying at the Wynn Resort and taking in a mentalist show. But Miss Koch, at least by her account, has been driven to the brink of insanity by her last name. In a 2007 essay for Smith Magazine, she described her young adulthood as, quote, panic attacks and meltdowns and doctors and pharmaceuticals and terrifying my parents and staring down the dark well of nothing you do will ever be good enough, you privileged waste of flesh. I mean, I'm sure that's her experience. It's just so interesting that this is what's come out of that feeling, as opposed to, I'm very blessed. I'm going to dedicate my life to helping people less fortunate. No, we're going to fund my theories on life and teach people how to change their perceptions. Okay. A couple years later, she lied to classmates at Syracuse University, where she was working on an MFA in fiction, insisting that her name was pronounced Koch. No relation to those Kochs, the ones they may have read sinister things about. Okay, so let's take an aside and read a little bit of this essay from Smith Magazine that was linked in this article. Okay, this is she's writing it's not fiction. I guess it's about her life, but it's like a travel log. Okay, I'll just read it. Okay. It's called the World Tour Compatibility Test, Grand Finale. And it's part travel log and part convoluted love story. The World Tour Compatibility Test is a series of true stories set in exotic locales as two American writers decide whether to break up or move in together. Okay, so they went to Shanghai, Beijing, Tokyo, a little more Tokyo, 2 entries in Nara, 2 in Kyoto, and returned to Tokyo. So relatable, right? Everyone's been there. Everyone's decided if they're going to move in with their boyfriend while traveling through Japan, right? Okay, here we go. This is her story. Outside, no one is around, probably because Japanese people don't do things like linger in museums past closing time just to piss people off. We are hungry and thirsty, but the only food source we find is a vending machine that sells liquid candy bars. Kit Kat soda, fizzy coffee, orangesicle drinks. They look disgusting. I want to try one of each. Todd looks skeptical. Quote, for the memories, I say, because I know Todd would trade in his grandmother for a good story. We unload our change into the machine and purchase 8 different cans and taste each one. None are worth a second sip. Todd carries several to the nearest trash, only to discover that what he thought was a trash can is in fact a mailbox. Quote, just line them up on top of the machine, I say. Maybe a homeless person will find them. We look around. No sign of a homeless person. Quote, what do you think they do with their homeless people here? Okay, what do you think they do with their homeless people here? Quote, they probably hide them wherever they hide the trash, Todd says. I laugh and try to take his arm, but he rips it away from me. First of all, when I read this story, I read it out loud to Stephen, and I was like, the first thing that stands out to me is I, in my whole entire life, would never think I could afford to purchase 8 things out of a vending machine in one go. So them feeling like they could just buy it all was already unrelatable to me. Okay? Unrelatable.
I want to be relatable.
The second part is that you're going to put your half-drinking soda cans out for homeless people and then ask, where do they keep their homeless people? In the trash? Ha ha ha. Not surprised, I suppose, at this point. It goes on, I don't need to read the whole thing, but basically they get into a fight and she wants to buy him Apple headphones at the time, and he doesn't want her to buy them because he's like, I can buy my own Apple headphones. I just can't buy them right now, and I don't want you to buy them for me. and then they get into a fight, and then they get back together. It's like amazing story, wonderful. Yeah, I don't know. Just seems like an unfortunate person who doesn't realize like the lot in their life is the best case scenario in so many ways and can't deal with it. And I sympathize to a point, but it's hard for me to sympathize with someone who has like these insecurities about being rich while people are literally dying from starvation in the same earth at the same time. It's very weird. Thank you, Kelsey. Welcome. Okay. Miss Koch's anguish may strike you as entirely understandable. Money can be corrosive, especially for the generation that didn't make it. Or you may have the opposite reaction. It must be really, really hard, eye roll, to be an heiress to one of the biggest fortunes ever accumulated, who graduated from an Ivy League university, Princeton, and is now married to a successful biotech entrepreneur. They recently vacationed in Bali. Oh, it's so sad. When Miss Koch first came on my radar, I was firmly in the second camp. A publicist named Scott Rao had called to propose an article on Miss Koch and her nonprofit organization, Unlikely Collaborators, which is all about self-investigation. According to its website, the organization is dedicated to the creation of provocative? Why is it provocative? According to its website, the organization is dedicated to the creation of provocative experiences that help you face who you think you are. Ooh, that is a cult, set up as a cult right there. Okay. The site adds, our experiences use a process of self-investigation that encompasses principles and practices from Eastern and Western thought, meditation, psychology, and neuroscience, designed to expand your understanding of self, others, and the whole damned world. Oh, brother. Mr. Rao kept pushing. So she's got a whole PR team that's pursuing the New York Times to get them to write this pretty flowery article about her, and I guess it worked. Mr. Rao kept pushing, telling me that Miss Koch started Unlikely Collaborators in 2021 after emerging from years of depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, and eating disorder, and a stint in a mental institution. Okay. Glad that you got out of that. Why do they immediately turn around and go, I'm now going to teach you? Just take care of yourself. I don't know. I don't get it. Serious people have joined Unlikely Collaborators in leadership roles, including Lisa Gregorian, a former president of the Warner Brothers television group. Now, what the fuck does she have to do with anything? Because she has a perception she's going to make this a mainstream, she's going to do TV shows about Perception Box with Christoph and Elizabeth. No, I don't think it's going to work very well. So far, and I'm sure like that she can attract someone like that to give it some sort of like, ooh, it must be legit, because she's got money to blow and a salary. So if you can provide a salary to somebody, they'll come on board. But like, it doesn't make the idea any actually better. So far, Unlikely Collaborators has given millions of dollars to various partners and earmarked at least $100 million for the next few years. Your perception is wrong, Mr. Rao said. Just come meet her. Hugs, blankets, and perception boxes. Okay. Let's see. So this is Lisa from Warner Brothers who joined, and Zach Gorin, who's a former banker and private equity investor. Okay, with the dream team here and fixing your mental health and perceptions of the world. This is who's going to do it. Okay, cool. Unlikely Collaborators occupies a sunny loft in Santa Monica, California, a community once described as where liberal ideology meets the sea. On the afternoon I visited, candles flickered here and there. Someone had put out what looked like 20 pounds of charcuterie. Thanks, Elizabeth. Miss Gregorian, the nonprofit's president, was tucked into a stylish chair near Zach Gorin, a former investment banker and private equity investor who is Miss Koch's finance and operations chief. Suddenly, Miss Koch stood before me with outstretched arms, soliciting a hug. Before we begin, she said, would you like a blanket? I declined, and we settled into a conference room. I expected her to be guarded, in keeping with her father's approach to the news media. Instead, she spoke excitedly for nearly 2 hours, telling me about her circuitous path to middle age. salting her sentences with profanity and referring to herself as, quote, privileged, pasty white girl from the Midwest. At least she's somewhat self-aware. Okay. She talked about exploring pain holes with a therapist and going on 2-week silent retreats. She insisted that she was apolitical. How can you be apolitical and then accept your dad, who is extremely, I mean, I guess you can be, but like, I think if you wanted me to believe you're truly apolitical and like the people's person, which is what she kind of appears like she wants to be perceived as, like, denounce the money and do it on your own. But they won't. Okay. Mostly, Ms. Koch wanted to explain something called the perception box, a term she trademarked in 2021. Unlikely Collaborators is built around the concept, which Ms. Koch wants to use to prompt a global movement of self-investigation. So, Peoplehood is the global medicine for the epidemic of loneliness, and the perception box is going to prompt a global movement of self-investigation. Got it. Okay, quote, we all live inside an invisible but ever-present mental box, a perception box. This box, why is it a box and it's called blue dot? Wouldn't it be a circle, like a sphere? We all live in a sphere. Why is it a box? Okay, sorry. This box distorts our perceptions of everything and everyone around us. It distorts our ability to understand other people, to see them clearly, to connect with them, and it distorts our ability to really even know ourselves. Again, I just think this is her response to people who treated her badly because they think that she's a rich, pasty white girl from the Midwest and that she's privileged and that she's, faced no adversity in her life and she cannot deal with a world like that. So now she's going to change the world as opposed to dealing with reality, which is what we all have to do every single fucking day. Okay, sorry. She adjusted the blanket on her lap. Most of the external conflict, messiness, and miscommunication in the world, in corporations and relationships and families, in every aspect of our lives, is caused by internal conflict. Ms. Koch continued, and most of the internal conflict is caused by unconscious beliefs that we have been carrying around since we are very young, like 0 to 5, and that we project on everyone around us. Unlikely Collaborators intends to help people become aware of their perception boxes through, you guessed it, workshops, lectures, and summits. Again, how every one of these dumb personal development, self-help companies operate. And then if they are like NXIVM, which is the leap I'm making, they become cults. That's how they recruit people in these group training sessions. That's how it works. Why haven't we just become aware of that by this point? If you're going to show up to one of these things and you're open-minded, you are their target. You are their mark to indoctrinate into either the business funnel of buying coaching, going to seminar, buying all the shit and staying invested, or becoming a weird follower of their upcoming religion called perception boxology. And, you're going to be living on a compound in 6 months. Unlikely Collaborators intends to help people become aware of their perception. Okay, I already said that. In 2021, Ms. Koch led a workshop for the Los Angeles chapter of the Red Cross. I wonder how she got that job, how she got that connection. More recently, she has been offering a workshop titled, What I Think You Think About Me. This is one woman's quest to change all the people who said she was rich and annoying through this group. Unlikely Collaborators also plans to publish books and eventually produce films with perception box themes. Please don't. Please don't. That's exactly what NXIVM did. They had the documentary filmmaker guy. They were making videos and movies and things about healing Tourette's and all that. And they had the retreats and the summits. They had the in-person events and the workshops. What is different here? Nothing. It's the same shit. It's the same concepts too of don't be a victim in life. Change your reality. You control your reality. Push yourself to the limits. If you want to, be a successful person, you have to live here and dedicate yourself to me. In addition, Unlikely Collaborators invests in companies and nonprofit organizations that are aligned with its mission. Ms. Koch said she helped fund and hopes to develop curriculum for Moral Courage College. I don't know what that is. Moral Courage College, say that 3 times fast, which describes its purpose as training people to lower their emotional defenses so that contentious issues can be turned into constructive conversations. Good luck. Millions of dollars have gone to SIY Global, a firm that provides mindfulness and emotional intelligence training. Okay. Ms. Koch and unlikely collaborators have also donated money to the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, which, among other things, conducts research into the mental health benefits of MDMA, the club drug popularly known as ecstasy and Molly. Okay, I don't know. Maybe it could work. Like, that sounds like the most scientific thing on that list. I know this is a lot to throw at people, Miss Koch said, apparently reading my mind. Let's go back to perception box. That's where it begins and ends. She jumped to her feet and started writing on a whiteboard. Oh, the big whiteboard that every self-help person also uses on stage to make you feel like they're doing something, like you're brainstorming, when they're literally writing like, okay, what do we think about when we think of our business? What do we need? Okay, slogan. Yeah, slogan. Okay, what else? Customers. Yes, good answer, girl. Okay, what else? Yeah, money. Okay, now, like, how can I help you get there? I can get you all these things by signing up for my course. Like, come on, people. Okay, she started writing on the whiteboard, calling out each word with a flourish and a demonstration of one of her workshops. Quote, I don't matter. I'm not good enough. I'm bad. She asked me to envision a person, a writer perhaps. This person misses deadlines because they are, quote, constantly worrying about making it perfect, she said. It has to be better. It has to be better. No, not there yet. That thinking can be painful and ultimately even professionally paralyzing. Rebecca Romana, thank you so much. Rebecca says, I learned to manage my depression, ED, and OCD, and after years of suffering, I consider myself freaking fine. I might share what has helped me, but that doesn't mean I need to start a cult about it. You're missing out on an amazing business opportunity, Rebecca, okay? Why don't you think like a capitalist for once? God. You need to make you need to scale the human experience. What are we even doing if we're not scaling every fucking thing that we've ever done in our lives? Do you want to scale breathing? They've done that already. That breathing is already on the market. There is already a breathing market. So we've already missed the boat on that one. What else can we scale? Yeah, I mean, trauma stories, that's always a good one to go with. That's done as well, but there's always room for more. Here's this for you, Rebecca Romana.
I love selling stuff online.
That could be your new mantra. I love selling stuff online. Also,
people want their news from flawless, beautiful faces.
I have not played that one yet. People want their news from beautiful, flawless faces. Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're freaking fine. I really am. That's good to hear. And I will join your cult any day. Okay, back to it. All right. That person is running a perception box story in their head, she said, and it's an obvious one. I'm not good enough. I grimaced and told her that I could be that writer. Who are you still trying to please? And who are you still rebelling against? She asked me, now firmly in teacher-student mode. I squirmed and thought about how it was really stupid of me to say no to that blanket. Quote, probably daddy, I said, almost in a whisper. What? Like, I read that and I was like, what are you talking about? This is like a Tony Robbins thing too. And Rachel Hollis did it too, which I think she got it from Tony Robbins, but in the conference setting, almost every like video of a conference that Tony Robbins and Rachel has done, and they're asking the audience for like, you know, their sob story or their, you know, they get up on the mic and just talk or whatever. They always ask like, what problem are you dealing with? Who did you want love from more, your mom or your dad? As if like that's gonna solve everything in 30 seconds by like, oh, I'm afraid of, you know, like I'm afraid of starting my business because I'm $100,000 in debt. And then they're gonna talk you through like, no, that fear came from your mom not loving you enough in the 3rd grade. And they're gonna like, oh, they're gonna cry and then they're gonna be healed and then they never have to think about that problem again. So when this came up in the articles, like, give me a break. Daddy's writing, like, I don't know. I guess he had a moment or whatever, but just to me, as being like reading so much of this material, watching so much of this stuff, it's like, this is like 101 manipulation tactic. Anyways, probably daddy, I said, almost in a whisper. She sighed and sat down. I have that issue too, she said. I've done a lot of work on it, a lot of love there, but yeah. Hippy dippy woo woo. Here's your dad, Charles. In 2009, Charles Koch was in the hospital. He was getting a shoulder replaced and his daughter was at his bedside. Okay, I guess that's why she wants the consciousness of the bedside researched. It makes sense now. She had become interested in neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and reorganize thought patterns, and wanted to discuss her early findings. Are you sure you're busy enough? He said. People who prattle on about wellness and self-investigation can be exhausting. Oh no, not another trendy product or program or yoga class or brain exercise or therapy or gauzy self-help book. McKinsey & Company estimates that wellness is a $1.5 trillion global industry with annual growth of up to 10%. Sleep consultants, ketamine clinics, cleanses, detoxes, nutraceuticals, meditation apps, wellness tourism, Instagram influencers peddling holistic everything. I agree. So why is this article being written? Perception box? Some of what I hear about in the wellness space makes my eyes roll, said Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, a neuroscientist and professor of psychology at Northeastern University. As far as I can tell, Elizabeth is trying really hard to make sure everything she does is consistent with our best available guess of what's going on scientifically. Okay, this part was not originally in this article, and that's what people were really upset about, because this person who he talked to, Dr. Barrett, now it's been added, received money from Elizabeth Koch's thing, and of course she's going to speak nice about her. Obviously, if you're getting $900,000, I'm not saying that's what the amount was, but if you were, or potentially could get $900,000 from someone, and a reporter called you and said, hey, what do you think about this person? You'd be like, amazing, the best person I've ever dealt with in my life. Like, yeah, so not completely ethical. And the fact that they added it back in, good, I'm glad, but that was not originally there. Okay. Dr. Barrett's research lab at Northeastern has received grant funding from unlikely collaborators, and she is now a paid advisor to the organization. So that, conflict of interest, if I've ever heard one before. And she was supposed to be like the rational voice in this article, either defending or supporting the efforts. So it's an unbalanced article. The women got to know each other in 2018 when Miss Koch invited Dr. Barrett to attend an unlikely collaborators retreat. They already have retreats? Oh my God. Dr. Barrett had just written the book, How Emotions Are Made, and Miss Koch was formulating her perception box ideas in part by funding research into emotions and consciousness. In 2014, Miss Koch started Tiny Blue Dot, a research foundation, and hired Christoph Koch, no relation. Okay, so no relation. Just more comfortable with the name being in the house. To run it. He is also a former president of the Allen Institute for Brain Science, where he continues to serve as a chief scientist in Seattle. Miss Koch is self-conscious about Miss Koch is self-conscious about coming across as one of those hippy-dippy woo-woo people, like our girl Rach.
I'm a big-time hippie, and I'm very woo-woo.
But there is also no way around it. Miss Koch is a bit woo-woo, even by California standards. She seeks out the occasional shaman. Of course she does. As part of her own mental health journey, she has explored psychedelics as medicine. They all have. Psychedelics remain mostly illegal, but regulators are moving towards the approval of MDMA and psilocybin, the psychoactive component in magic mushrooms, as therapists supervise treatments for post-traumatic stress and depression. I have no problem with that. I really do think that there is an overwhelming amount of influencers, though, who are telling you to microdose, and that's the key to success in life, and they have no idea what they're talking about. So I do get annoyed by that. When I did my own MDMA therapy, there were Looney Tunes characters coming out of my body, Miss Koch told me matter-of-factly. The witch, Sylvester, that Viking chick who sings the opera. When I was little and forming my perception box, I sucked them in somehow. Okay. This is the offspring of Charles Koch. Mr. Koch declined to be interviewed. In an email, he said he was delighted and couldn't be more proud that his daughter had dedicated her life to making the world a better place for everyone. Okay. Yeah, weird way to do it. We wanted our kids to discover their gifts and where they could passionately apply them to help others improve their lives, he said. For most of us, this takes time and involves struggle and trial and error. Our children were no exceptions. Life with father. She's got like a tribal necklace on here. Interesting. Okay. Miss Koch's fascination, some might say obsession, with self-identity and perception started when she was growing up in Wichita, Kansas. She attended private school, as did her brother Chase, who is 2 years younger. He runs Koch Disruptive Technologies, a venture capital firm connected to Koch Industries, a constellation of businesses that include oil refineries, medical devices, fertilizer, chemicals, paper products, and batteries. Okay. It's not like growing up in New York City where a lot of people are wealthy. We were very different in Wichita. I had so much fear that people would hate me. As an adult, she said, therapists helped me realize that much of what she was telling herself was not real. Most of her anguish, she explained, had to do with my own stories about never being good enough, the ones I made up in my head. That's where I got trapped. As she worked to untangle her knots, she did a lot of searching. She was the editor for a literary humor magazine called Opium. She tried to write a novel. She's still trying. It's about 1,400 pages with 24 major characters and 30 plot lines. Okay. She went to Peru to experience ayahuasca, the vomit-inducing hallucinogenic tea. Of course she did. Another time, she found herself at a nudist colony. In 2015, she started a book imprint called Catapult. Cries for Help Various was its first title. This month, Catapult shut down its online magazine and writing program to ensure a successful future for its core book business. Miss Koch also dabbled in film finance, serving as an executive producer for Beasts of No Nation, starring Idris Elba and Harriet, which was nominated for 2 Oscars. I found her easygoing and upbeat. Yeah, when you have billions of dollars at your disposal, I would hope so. She laughed when I asked how much money she had inherited. I pressed, and Mr. Rouse, seated nearby, piped up with no comment. So you're cool enough to like change everyone's perception, but you won't share how much you've inherited from your dad. That doesn't sound fair to me. Are you going to be open or are you going to be strategically closed? Because it seems a little odd. 1 minute, Miss Koch was serious, talking about criminal justice reform, which is a focus of her father's philanthropy. And the next, she was frivolous, telling me about a design studio in Scotland that sells fancy wallpaper. There was one exception to Miss Koch's sunny, let-it-all-hang-out demeanor, except for how much she makes from her dad. When I tried to dig into her relationship with her father, whom she calls Pop, and asked what direct role he might have played in her feeling never good enough from such a young age, during one of our conversations, she spoke about him pushing her to join the track team in the 4th grade and personally coaching her for a couple of years. No matter where we went on vacation, he was getting me up at 5 a.m. to run, she said. In the winter, sometimes while it was snowing, he would be driving beside me in the car and like usually playing some economics tape, trying to get me to learn while I was running. That is weird. I do agree. However, the 4th grade, if that's your biggest issue, maybe it's time to move on. I don't know. Maybe that's me. I'm still dealing with stuff from childhood, but yeah. Were his expectations too high? There is no blame there, she responded with some steel in her voice. I was just confused, and I was putting things together in a really distorted way. And then I had so much shame about it, I couldn't talk about it. Mr. Koch said in an email, when the kids were young, I pushed them to work hard and be the best them they could be. That's the job of a parent, to help their children realize their full potential and live a life of meaning. It is possible that Miss Koch will turn unlikely collaborators and her perception box credo into a success. This isn't a 3 to 5 year plan, said Mr. Gorin, the financial and operations chief. She has a multi-decade vision. Yeah, because you don't need to make money at it. You can just continue to fund it until you decide you don't want to anymore. But she will never escape the Koch box. Some people will always want something from her that she is either uninterested or unwilling to give, allyship and a fight against her father's politics, in particular his opposition to climate change laws. Quote, it's time to hold Elizabeth Koch accountable for her family's role in the climate crisis, read a headline on a Medium article last year. She's never said or done anything to distance herself from her family, Hillary Plum, an author and academic, wrote in Fence, a nonprofit literary magazine. Any Koch we want to work with must be a black sheep and anti-Koch. Miss Gregorian, the former Warner Brothers executive and Unlikely Collaborators president, knows that the Kochs are radioactive in certain circles. But because of that very reason, she said Miss Koch was uniquely suited to lead conversations about bridging divides. Coming from Hollywood, so much of my world was manufactured authenticity. Completely and utterly manufactured, Miss Gregorian said. With Elizabeth, what you see is what you get, which is part of what gives her this incredible ability to connect with people. I was skeptical when I met her, Miss Gregorian said, and then I just opened up to her as if she had hypnotized me. And then it talks about the error of not including the part about the woman who's supposed to, you know, as the psychiatrist, say whether this is a legitimate thing or not, was being paid by the company. So, and here's the Moral Courage College. I've never heard of this before. Seems interesting. Hola! Meet the growing moral courage community. Here's my Bitmoji. We teach people how to engage constructively about contentious issues. Okay, that's good. Seems like their team is somewhat diverse. Looks like it's, yeah, you can get certified in moral courage. Interesting. I'll have to look this up more. And then this is Unlikely Collaborators partners with SIY Global with significant investment. Yeah, so they got, which is SIY Global is a global learning community that brings world-class teachers and social and emotional skills to organizations that want to build more engaged, connected, and high-performing workplaces. Okay, so it sounds like corporate training. Okay. I want to go on a retreat. Why can't I go to retreat? Okay, here's what Elizabeth Koch's, I officially have more Instagram followers than Elizabeth Koch. She may have billions of dollars, but she does not have billions of followers. And we all know what is more valuable in this world. Okay, so let's see. She's got a website. I'm ready to follow. Oh, it's just that one. We already seen that one. This is what a perception box looks like, by the way. I am the perception box. Okay, let's hear, or let's see. Okay, so showing a picture. Showing another picture. Oh, this is about her boyfriend in Japan. I went to a, okay. It says, your beautiful wedding, mom. Okay. It's a lot of writing. I guess she's a writer, but it's sort of annoying. Let's hear from her.
Say you're in a relationship and you guys break up. What do?
Jump off a bridge?
Do you tend to want to just move on really quickly? Just go right back into those dating apps and just find somebody, anybody to replace that person? Or do you tend to be a person who wants to withdraw, to ask the question why, to go deeply inside and try to figure out what went wrong? There's not a good or bad or a right or wrong to either side of these situations. But what you do want to understand is what's driving you, what's motivating you to want to either move on or to retreat and ask the question why. If you're the type of person who likes to move on, is what is motivating you fear of falling into despair, fear of...
I think we should just end the internet. I think we've learned enough. I think this experiment has proven that we do have a cap in how much access to each other we should have. It is feeling dystopian that billionaires are setting up their phones and talking to us or to anyone, the general public, about what you should do if you break up with your boyfriend. With no training, with no background, with just like, I declare myself able to speak to you, whoever you may be on the other side of the screen, with authority and confidence. It really is so bizarre, and I hate it.
I don't know anyone that doesn't feel completely stuck in shitty emotions. It can really feel like, I'm gonna be stuck in anxiety forever. I'm gonna be stuck in sadness forever, in depression. But wait a minute, is that really true? Haven't there been times in your past, and
I wish you would take that $100 million that they're going to spend on, research in Milan about, whatever, which it may be good research. It may be helpful. I don't know. I'm just, making a joke. But I wish you would take that $100 million, and I mean this seriously, and help fund therapists that are licensed and qualified and have gone through school and have put in the hours and have been supervised by a mentor and are going to this continuing education and are dedicated and are promising legally and ethically that they do not want to cause harm to their patients, and get people of all walks of life in the door, break down the stigma of therapy, and help people afford medication through psychiatrists, and also have it work in tandem with or just therapy on its own. Because that is one of the two biggest barriers in my opinion. And again, I don't have any expertise on this matter either, but except for as a patient, stigma against going or you having an issue or being a mentally ill person because you're seeking therapy and help. That's a problem still in the United States for sure. And access to affordable and enough sessions where it's actually helpful. If you go to a therapist one time and it costs $150, that's not really going to help you long term, most likely. It's not going to help you any more than going to this woman's retreat or whatever. But it's like going to the gym. You have to go a lot to receive the benefits. It takes a long time, depending on what your traumatic events are, or what your history is, to get to those root problems, to build a relationship. And so all this studying and all this like companies and peoplehoods and like we have the solution already. It's therapy, in my opinion. People just don't have the right access, and that's what's holding us back. It's like, well, why is there still mental health if there's a solution already? It's like, because no one can afford to go, and the world looks down on you if you try to help yourself. That's what's the problem.
in all of our past, where we were really challenged and we went into a very dark place. How'd we get through? This Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, we are going to explore what happened in the past and how those negative emotions, those very emotions that we did not want to feel, actually showed us the way out. It gave us the wisdom that we needed to take a step out of the pain and out of the suffering and into a productive new place. So if that sounds good to you, if you're eager to get not just hope, but an actual knowing that you're going to get through whatever it is that you're feeling right now, and that those negative emotions are going to be the very thing to teach you how to step out of it, join us for 1 hour at 1 p.m. Pacific time this Thursday. This will be such a rewarding experience. See you guys there.
You guys will get through it. This is from July 2020. You guys from her, compound, I'm sure that's locked down from all possible intruders. I'm going to help you guys get through this by talking to you via Instagram. It's just so ridiculous. I don't know. She doesn't have the charisma either. No offense.
There have been a wide range of reactions to what happened to George Floyd.
Oh, God.
I found myself in a state of absolute paralysis this weekend, heavy paralysis. On the one hand,
it is interesting to see celebrities, I'm not saying she's a celebrity, but people unrelated to what happened talk about George Floyd and then watching it like 3 years later and going, ooh.
I'm a person of privilege. What the hell am I going to add to the conversation? If anything,
nothing.
I felt like whatever I said would be causing more harm. On the other hand, this is what Unlikely Collaborators is.
Oh, no.
And what we do.
Oh, no.
We bring together...
Using George Floyd's death to promote your nonprofit. Oh, no. This is very Jay Shetty of you.
other people around very difficult material. Deep societal pain and prejudice.
So me, a billionaire's daughter, is qualified to do this work. This is what we're here for, to help people heal from George Floyd's death. God. The audacity, the audacity.
And racism and cognitive distortions, and we help people unpack that within themselves in a place of equanimity and compassion. And so I started feeling like there might be an opportunity here for
capitalize,
people to come together and actually share genuinely what's coming up for them, rather than either fighting it or pushing it down or making it wrong. Because in order for us to be able to take a skillful step forward, one towards healing and harmony, rather than one towards causing more pain, violence.
I think about this sometimes because I'm like, I'm a big free speech advocate, and not in the conservative way where it's like, don't tell me what to do, but in the sense of like, I think when you try to suppress speech because you're labeling it negative, it's a very slippery slope, and you shouldn't do that. And I don't think the government should do that, and I don't think people should do that to other people. If I say something you hate and don't agree with, make your own YouTube video about how I'm a piece of shit. Like, I am not going to say don't do that. I'm not going to call the police and say somebody's talking about me. Like, obviously, you have a right to your opinions. I have a right to my opinions. And as long as you're not causing someone physical harm or saying this is their address, go and kill them, I think you should be able to spew your bad beliefs. Now, that's a hot take because I know people say, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I think, if it is a slippery slope, if you start to cut people off from expressing themselves, the other side gets in power, and then all of a sudden, oh, well, you can't say this, this, and this, which, I don't know. It's if you start to repress any speech or suppress, it can grow into this thing where it's like, now we can't say anything. And I don't think that's fair or good for democracy. That's a side note. So when I think about her and I'm like, what should she say? Like, what would be good for her to say? And I honestly think it's nothing. The best thing for a billionaire to say in this situation is nothing. And it doesn't mean I don't think that she shouldn't be allowed to speak. I just think the best thing for people like this who have feelings about this topic, share it internally. Go to a Peoplehood class and share it there and keep it to yourself, because you just look like, it's like, read the room. We don't want to hear billionaires' opinions on social justice in America personally. Like, your opinion's not wanted here. Now, should you have the right to say it? Of course. Do I want to hear about it? No, I don't care what she says. It's like, I don't know. It's so ridiculous. Anyways, this is a quote. I'm not going to tell you to ignore your problems. Just be grateful.
Is that for any issue, for any problem, there are multiple perspectives you can.
Okay. If you're poor and homeless, I'm not saying don't be upset, but just be grateful that you're alive, I guess. See ya. I've been Elizabeth. It's me, Lizzie, here with a quick word on homelessness.
Have you guys been feeling restless lately?
Yeah.
Are your weekends and weekdays just completely bleeding together?
Yeah, totally.
I've been just stumbling from one Zoom meeting to the next, kind of not even conscious of what day it is.
You're crazy,
not
girl.
Not even conscious of what food I'm putting in my mouth. The other day, I couldn't tell the difference between salsa and Cocoa Pebbles, which is really sad because...
It's so sad. Oh my God, she couldn't tell the difference. Let's all take a moment. Her perception box was tainted. The Cocoa Pebbles taste like salsa.
I love Cocoa Pebbles. Guess
what?
What? I've got great news for you. If this has been your experience,
so excited.
You can actually pretty quickly and simply have a completely new and wondrous experience of the room in which you've been quarantined for the last 4 weeks, no LSD required. Not even microdosing. No crazy holotropic breath work, no rebirthing, none of that.
Not
All that's
rebirthing.
required is engaging your 5 senses in a really specific way that maybe you haven't done since you were 5 years old.
Oh my God, tell me more.
So if you're interested,
I'm so interested
in cloaking your entire room,
I am,
with this filter of wonder and awe, join us on Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time.
Why is it always 1 p.m.? What's going on at 1 p.m.?
1 p.m. Pacific time. It is a very specific time. And together we'll explore how just by using our 5 senses, we can have a completely altered state. Finding the beauty.
It's like, or you can just, if you feel restless in your, I'm assuming, multi-millions of dollars mansion, you can just, I can just take a stroll to the garden. I can go to the servants' quarters and say tutu to them and just say hello. I can take a break, a leisurely walk to the theater. I can go in the bowling alley and throw a couple balls around. That would be good too. I'll teach you how to do that in your mansion. Thanks, Elizabeth.
And the magic that's just behind the curtain of right now.
Wow, amazing. Okay, she's crazier than I thought. I'm sorry to say. She's a little cokier than I thought. Get it? A little cokier than I thought. Thank you. I've been Kia. All right, everybody. Well, that is basically it today. I wanted to show the actual NXIVM videos because they're a big part of the vow. And if you've watched it on Hulu, I think it's on Hulu. Actually, no, that was the Teal Swan one. The vow. I think it's at HBO Max. If you've seen it, you've seen a lot of the old tapes that they would put out to their followers. And a lot of the topics are very, very similar to the topics we discussed today. Like I said, ego and like getting past your ego and not giving up and perceiving the world and not being a victim and breathing deeply and and connecting with each other and all that. And it turns out to be a cult where people are deeply manipulated and forced to, do all this crazy shit for a guy who is in an MLM and I don't know. It's everyone thinks they're not susceptible. I also thought I wasn't susceptible to that type of stuff. And I was, sitting on the floor of a yoga studio going, oh, wow, yeah, so crystals, very interesting. Maybe I should go buy some quartz to help me. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. So, and not to say I'm, infallible, but even someone who's so negative on the other side of it, I forced myself and convinced myself I need to change and believe in this stuff. It'll help me. Look at these people. They're millionaires. They're billionaires. They must be onto something. And then you do it and you're like, no, actually they're all unhappy too. And I'm just fine over here, protecting my vulnerability. That's the thing I don't like with all the stuff. They encourage you to share your vulnerabilities. And as much as I think it's helpful, and I was on the opposite side of this discussion before where I was like, everyone needs to share their vulnerabilities to everybody so that people aren't afraid to be honest. But in reality, sharing your vulnerabilities makes you vulnerable, and with the wrong people, they will take advantage of you, and you need to, as a person who is not a billionaire, protect yourself. You have a right to protect yourself and not share your vulnerabilities with anyone who's not ethically bound to protect you back. So keep your friends close and your enemies farther away. And I just think when it comes to your deepest feelings and fears, share those things with people that you care about and know, and fuck all these other people that are claiming if you share it in this group setting, it's going to be healing to you. It's not, in my opinion, going to actually do anything long term. So that's it. Other things that I'm thinking about. are the guy from Salesforce. I'm looking into him. I didn't have enough time to like do a full research on him, but he's a Tony Robbins stan, which roll my eyes. But he reminds me of the guy who, I know Savvy covered him before, but the guy who had the company where he took a pay cut so that everyone could make 70 grand or more, but it turned out that he was sort of a jerk in some way. So he reminds me of the Salesforce guy who is like, I'm America's best CEO and I care about homelessness and all these things. But then in reality, like the big thing recently is that Salesforce laid off like 10% of its workforce, which is in line with like the rest of the tech industry. However, they retained Matthew McConaughey as like their like raw motivational like figurehead of the company, spokesperson for like $10 million, but then they're going to lay off a bunch of staff. It just seems a little hypocritical. So I don't know what I'll do about it, if I'll do anything, but that's something I'm interested in currently. And then, like I said, the big thing is what I said in the beginning is the offer audit. So that'll come out soon. Maybe this week, but probably maybe the beginning of next week. And we'll see how those go. So if you have any more people, offers, events you want me to look into, I think that could be fun to just review the offer, what they are qualified, what they're promising, and how much it is to get a better grasp on like the ridiculousness of some of these people's egos, honestly. The one that's coming up is in the several thousands for an online Zoom healing course. And it's like, I mean, the confidence is there. I give them that. They are confident as hell. But the actual knowledge is lacking. So if you haven't joined the membership yet, oh wait, are you talking to me? The green, my shirt. My shirt is it's tie-dye and it's green. It's like a national park shirt. I don't know which national park. I got it at REI, so I didn't actually visit a national park to receive this shirt. And I have tie-dye shorts on, but they're shorty shorts, so I ain't gonna stand up. In case we have a wardrobe malfunction, okay? So yeah, if you haven't joined the membership yet and you'd like to, and you want to have access to those emotes that are there, and I'll have to check because I know we had the gifted ones from Mai. Thank you again, Mai.
Mic drop, homie.
Mai, this is for you.
You look like a Lord of the Rings elf.
No, you don't. I'm just kidding. You can, if we have enough, I'll check tonight. I can add the next emoji. And also, we can just check in. They're supposed to give out a video of Zelda and show like Zelda swimming around, and it hasn't come out yet on their Instagram because they're like releasing all of the adoptable manatees through the year. So we're still waiting on that video. But there's Zelda. Thank you again for supporting Zelda on this channel. Also, thank you in relation to fundraising. The Dave Hollis video about his death has raised over $900 for the National Angels, one of the nonprofits that he was involved in. And I just want to say thank you very much. That is a huge amount of money. I think that's a great thing to do for his honor, for the snarking, I don't know, not to pay the guilt off, but like to feel better about it a little bit and feel like, okay, we came together as a supportive group, which I know that everyone, for the most part, at least people I've interacted with online, supported Dave and the Hollises and wanted them to get better. And through the snarking, that was their intention, I think, deep down. So I think this is a great thing. And I appreciate you all chipping in and helping. And so that should be going off to them this week. So that's awesome. I think that's a good thing to help foster kids in Austin specifically, but I think they also have like obviously national reach. So Alaska gave 20. Oh, you did? Alaska Blood Tundra gave 20? Oh my God. Thank you so much. It didn't come through or I didn't see it. Or if it was earlier, my bad. Thank you, Alaska Blood Tundra. For that, I say,
that's suspiciously like $500. Their building's bigger than yours and their furniture's nicer than yours.
We really, really, really appreciate it. So now we'll have that manatee emote, and then we'll come up with more as we go on. Kendra, what do you have to say?
This girl a mess, y'all. I don't find anything funny.
We love Kendra. We need to have her back on the show. What is this one?
My mouth is so bored.
People want their news from flawless, beautiful faces.
Also, this is sort of random, but there's this creator. I don't even want to say her name because I'm afraid she's going to kill me. But there's this creator. I never heard of her before. She's like a wilderness blogger, I guess. Apparently, and someone on Instagram said this to me. So thank you if you're watching. Thank you. Because it really got me riled up this morning in a bad way. But she is a creator, and I don't know the whole story, so I could be totally wrong. But the way I'm reading it so far seems like she's a blogger. She's been involved in articles about living the van influencer lifestyle. She makes brand deals. She shares a lot of her life. She's got a blue check mark on Instagram. And there was a Reddit page about her where people would talk about her and say, I don't like her. I don't know what they actually said, but from what it sounds like, it was pretty typical Reddit snarking. And again, I could be missing a huge ingredient here that makes the whole story different, but this woman, this creator, it's bothered her so much that these people talk about her and don't agree with what she's doing, sharing her life on Instagram, that she is doxing every one of them one by one and sharing their information and getting she got a hat that says fuck around and find out or something. And people are encouraging her to do this and to stop cyberbullying by physically her going to these people's houses. I'm are you insane? These people are talking on not private, but on Reddit about your work. Are we not allowed to speak anymore? I just find that, and she's saying that's distressing to her and whatever. It's yeah, I have sympathy for that, but you're choosing to live your life online. So I have a lot to say about this topic, and I find it to be problematic greatly that there is any support at all for people to not be able and free to talk about things in a negative way on a forum, for God's sakes, because someone feels that they've been cyberbullied. It's I don't know. I know that's a hot take as well, but comments and showing up to someone's house or writing death threats in a letter, I'm 100% against. That is not okay. Even comments on someone's page or DMs or whatever, I'm against that. I do not support that. But if you're taking your opinions and putting them on a Reddit thread that's discussing a blogger or something, that I think needs to be protected. And if you start to silence those people, I don't know. That's a slippery slope to me. And I think we should discuss it using this woman's story, but I need more time because I just found out about it today. So that's going to come up, I think, in the future too. So yeah, it's it brings up a lot because I have sympathy and empathy while also saying I feel bad for you, but I don't think that they should stop. And that I don't think you showing up, especially encouraging violence against these people, essentially, is any better than what they're doing to you on a Reddit thread. It really makes you look bad. And it makes me feel like she's needs some help or something because the reaction is extreme. Anyways, so that's that. We'll leave it for now. And maybe, I'll have a knock on the door in 5 minutes. I'm here to cancel you by stabbing you in the heart. Wouldn't that be that should be a movie, real cancel culture. You say something that they don't like, you're done. Okay, that's not funny. Okay, I'm gonna sing my song and then we'll meet again soon. Goodbye. Yo, yo, yo. I got the Breakfast Club blues. Rainy cannon and starry nights. They're on the top of the charts every single night. Nicole Hensley, Nicole Campbell, they're right below them on the line. Charlotte, Angela Arnold, Marley Hannon, you're in the cannon, boom, in the sky. A Consul and KT, you're off the handle. And Joms, he doesn't mow the lawn. That didn't rhyme. And I actually don't know if you're a he, she, or they. Whatever it is, it's A-OK. Just like Tiffany and Chels Marie and Alaska Blood Tundra. She's the real MVP of this stream. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't show up, but I'm very sorry. And I owe you a lot. And I also owe Emily a shout out as well. We're gonna add Emily to this list too. Because last stream, Emily sent me a note and I didn't see it. And I'm sorry for that. So I owe you 2 times in the next one. And Crystal G, and Lindsay Walden, and Kimberly Cosse. They are all so bossy. They said, put me in the middle of the line of people. And I said, put yourself in the perception box and don't giggle. Giggle is just for billionaires, didn't you know? Ho ho ho. Allison Wonderland 66, you are making a house of bricks. Kimberly Harris smiles. She's making her house out of tiles. Yeah. Kara Soto. Gonna find Toto. Louise V. Loves the scarecrow in that movie. It's getting worse and worse every week. Okay. Brian and Nicole comes after Darby DeFord. But I missed it in the line of chord. Ding to my brain. I read it in the wrong way. And Dave Kelly and not Jenna Cash. They're the people who are second to the last. Cholo's kid. Now they're the one on the list who is at the end and makes me send my song into a spiral. Because it was so long, I gotta sing about everyone. They all rhyme, but it's hard every time because I've used lots of the rhymes already, like Dave Kelly and Jelly. But that's okay. Taro stayed away, but she's at my feet cause she wants some kitty meat. She's the best cat ever. Come here, kitty. Sing the Taro Taro blues. Come here. Sing the blues like a taro can. She's a kitty, but she's not a man. She's a girl. Say something. Good girl. The tarot blues, she's purring for you. The song is gonna end, but we're happy to choose sadness. Right, Tarot? Yeah. She says it's cool. One more time. She's like, I don't want to work out in this cycle studio. I'm just a cat. I'm just a cat that is black. I got green eyes and I got a surprise. I'm an intuitive and I love hair ties. Tarot, what you doing here? They can only see your tail a-wagging once in a while. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. Tarot says bye too. Say goodbye. Say goodbye, little girlie. That's how she says goodbye. See ya.